Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Strat Fan Forum Football Show. Today we're talking about the 1986 Retro League Summer Sprint, which is an offshoot of Battle Royale. We do two Battle Royales a year, one in the spring and one in the summer. The Battle Royale format is a 1 unit per day draft for 10 days, which is an easy way to put together a team. The units are quarterback, halfback, offensive line, defensive line, wide receivers, tight end, fullback, blocking back, linebackers, DBs, kick returner, punt returner, and kicker punter. So you have to figure out which of those units you want to take in what round to put together the strongest team possible to compete. And there's a lot of times in this league where you're just about to get that guy you want, and somebody snakes him, somebody grabs him from you, or you say, "Oh, that guy's not going to take that guy. He's worried about carries, or he's already got this other unit," and then he winds up taking them, and then you're screwed going, "Gosh, I wish I could do that one over again." So I'm joined today by Michael Stuckey, who's going to be joining us audio only since his camera is on the fritz, and by Dan Morin, who's also going to join us today. So no Tom. Tom Cook is not in this league. He's got 99 problems, and apparently a relationship is now one of them. So he's got to spend time on that. Didn't have time for another Strat League. So good for Tom. We're happy for you. But we're here to talk Strat football as we always do. So Dan, Mike, take it away. What you got to say? Do I need to interview you guys? You can jump in here anytime. Don't let me do all the talking. Believe me, this will not be an entertaining show that way. So.
No. This is a great format. I absolutely love this. It's funny, when I started getting back into Strat after taking about 10, 15 years off, I joined some stock leagues, and then I looked at the draft leagues and I said, you know what, I'm not into that. I just want to do stock leagues. And then jumped in one of Ed's leagues and loved it, and saw all these leagues that Dennis was doing, and looked at Battle Royale, saw it, and went, I don't think I'm ever going to do that. And then I tried the flat pass as runs league, which was enjoyable. And then 83 last year was my first time with Battle Royale, and so it was an interesting format to draft with the 10 rounds. And just like you said, you think you got something coming up, and you're about to pick it, and then all of a sudden it goes away. And I had a plan going in last in 83, and it didn't quite work out. So what I found myself doing after about the first two rounds was just doing the Bill Belichick mantra. If everybody runs a 4-3, go 3-4. If everybody runs a 3-4, go 4-3. And so what I started to do is just let everybody else's draft decisions dictate what I was going to do. And it worked out really well. I had a pretty good team, I thought. As a matter of fact, you and Tom did that show, and Tom ended up picking me and you to play in the championship in that league. And when it ended up happening is under the old rule set, I was focused on a running team, and then I ended up, I think, going 2-6 first 8 games, and then 6-2 last 8 games. Didn't make the playoffs, but really enjoyed the Battle Royale concept. So I was excited to join 2014, and now this, and now back in the 80s, 3 years later, the same thing happened. And I think we have a perfect group of people here, the three of us, talking about this draft, because I was in the top 3, you were in the bottom 3, Dennis, and then Mike was right in the middle. So
and Dan's not talking about finishing standings. He's talking about the draft order. So each of us has a different mentality as we were putting together our teams.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at, Mike gets to sit back, get a pick, and yeah, he's got a gap in between each one of his picks, but he doesn't have to wait 24 picks like Dennis and I had to do. So when you're coming around in this serpentine draft and you make that second pick going around, you better make darn sure that you have all your ducks in a row, because if there's a run in those 24 picks, then you're on the outside looking in. And in my case, I had the third pick, and when I saw that third pick, I said, all right, here's the deal. It's either Kansas City's DBs, Dan Marino, or the Giants linebackers. And then after that, I thought there was a pretty big gap on the best set around. And so I automatically thought that if I'm talking low, I have 3 kids, and my wife just texted me and said it's a little loud, so I'm going to go a little low. But so I thought automatically that Casey would go first. I was sure of that. And then second, Jersey Joe, note the name, I said, he's definitely going with that linebacker crew. I can't see how you can't go with that linebacker crew on number 2. So I was all ready. I had a big board. I had Dan Marino first. I was going to go all out, pass blocking line, go nuts, long pass, short pass, and I was just going to air it out and try and score 50 points a game. And all of a sudden, boom, Marino gone. I went, oh, okay, got to grab the Giants linebackers. And why I'm saying that, as you go in this serpentine draft, all of a sudden, I mean, I was so surprised. I figured I'm going to get a guaranteed good pass D, and I'm going to get a really good defensive back unit on the way back, and that's where I was going to go. I was going to do the Hammerheads 2014 Battle Royale and play defense, and then a huge run on DBs. And then what ended up happening was I couldn't force myself to take a DB unit, rank that I had ranked 7th, 8th, or 9th that early. So then I just shunned that whole strategy and went with the, I make a list in my big board of each position group, and what I look for is when everybody's picking off all the other ones, I look to see who are the units that are 1, 2, or 3 left on my big board, and I try and get the top units in each board as I'm going around. And so then I ended up, shooting off into the offensive realm, and then I with that linebacker unit, I knew I was going to get a good run defense regardless, even if I picked 10th, which I did for defensive line. And then I said, you know what, I'm not going to reach and go for a DB unit to get a good pass defense. I'm going to go with an average and then have a better offense, because in the 2014 Battle Royale, I found out that I don't like playing with a meandering offense, a slow, plodding offense, because it ended up killing me in the playoffs. I had a good year, and then in the playoffs, you get behind early, and you have a average Joe Flacco quarterback card, and then not a lot of carries and running backs. You're dead meat, and your season's over. So I didn't want to put myself in that position that time. So I'll hand it over to Mike and see what he thinks about, what everybody did in the strategy.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of background. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. When you talk, your screen takes over. So why don't, since you just have that lovely picture of Tom Brady,
Want me to share?
yeah, why don't you share your screen so we can look at the spreadsheet as you're talking? Nothing wrong with Tom. I'm sure Giselle would be very happy when you're talking. But yeah, go ahead. I'm going to put you as presenter now. So go ahead and talk, and you can talk about your strategy. I think that Dan made a lot of good points. Really, the key in this format is, number one, finding value, finding the unit that's above and beyond the other units. So the New York Giants linebackers is a great example of that. They're far superior to any other linebacker group. And the other thing he said that I thought was noteworthy is you want to be leading off the run on a position. So you want to be the one taking one of the first 3 at a certain group, instead of being the one that's trailing and filling in the 8th, 9th, 10th ranked unit just to fill a spot. So Mike, go ahead and take it away from there.
Right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, this is a spreadsheet that I made up with the run combinations with the 3-4 defense only. And one of the things I really failed to notice was basically the blue would be an excellent defense versus run, the orange would be a good defense versus run, and the yellow would be average.
Okay.
So this was going to be a little bit difficult for people to get good. Obviously excellent, I don't think anyone was going to be able to get that pretty much the way things fell. But basically you could sit back on average run defense and really never pick one the whole draft.
Right, and matter of fact, one of the teams did that. Isn't that the case with gosh, who hasn't picked their linebacker yet? Yeah, Keith. Keith went all offense early and is now barely filling in his defense.
I'm very interested to see how that works out for him. Now this spreadsheet is the pass combination. And looking at this, it looks, obviously there's 8 defensive backs. And if I go down, I'll go about middle of the column there, 11 linebacker groups, which you can get good pass defense. So much easier to get the good pass defense.
And this is not taking into account those little tricky things you can do by taking a return unit and grabbing a DB, because the way the Battle Royale format works is whoever takes that unit first gets all the players in that unit, and that
Right.
includes like if a return unit, like I drafted in the second round, the Washington uh, kick return punt return unit, which included Darrell Green, which is a 6 rated cornerback, which I was able to use to help my secondary get one of those blue excellents.
Right. This also doesn't take into consideration on the run combo was the 4-3 defenses, and I think there were about 3 or 4 of those that got drafted.
So you just knew you were going for a 3-4. That's it.
Yeah, because I knew once the Bears went, Washington was probably the second best, or Minnesota. I didn't think I was going to be in that range to get any of those. Plus, I am an offensive liability the way I coach. So I need help on offense. So I didn't really have any plans for drafting the defense that high where that would be available. This is the spreadsheet I sent you as far as where people made their picks. Putting the numbers in there, you can see where people went with their selections. And obviously you have the round here. I also keep track of what goes in what round.
Right.
Things like that, especially early in the draft to figure out what's going on.
Well, let's start digging into it. So, how do you guys want to handle it? You want to go round by round or team by team? I guess maybe team by team would make sense, so we can do like a season preview, maybe predict the records and go like that. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so let's start then with Larry. Larry Riley picked first overall, and his first round pick, he made the wise decision to take those Kansas City defensive backs because, as Mike pointed out in his spreadsheet, you had almost a rock solid chance of getting an excellent pass defense. You had 11 different linebacker combos you could add to that DB group, and you would get excellent pass defense. So I think we all thought that they would be the overall number one pick, and they were.
Dan, one of the things I wanted to mention to you was Dennis and I, we've already played the 1986 season. We played a stock season.
Right.
And all the statistics, oh, I went to the wrong window. All the statistics for that season are on the website.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Here. So
one thing to note with this league is that it uses carded fumbles, not individual fumbles. So the fumble numbers will not match up, but everything else should be pretty decent.
So this was the league. So it kind of gives us an idea of what kind of was how the league offensively, how it ran defensively. I coached the New England Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys. Dennis coached Seattle. He beat me during the regular season. He also beat me, eliminating me in the playoffs. And he got beat by Denver.
Yeah, I got my butt kicked. Denver just rolled over me. Guest right run after guest right run.
Yeah, Dan rolling over Dennis is 38-35. That's how he got rolled over.
No, but look at their rushing yards that game. That was just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
They had like 200 combined yards.
But look at the run that you had at the end of the season. I think you won your last 10 in a row.
This was a good shot for me to win that first. This league is called SSRFL, the Strat Retro Football League, something like that. Stratomatic Stock Retro Football League. So yeah, I have won this league before, but never with the Seahawks because we're barely playing in the 80s. But they haven't been. There's been 3 times that they could have won. They could have won in 78, 83, and 86. But each of those times I got knocked out in the playoffs.
So tell me something about that league if you have the stats up before you. I was personally surprised that Elway went so early in this. I had him on my big board. I had him as, good to average short pass, great long pass, and he's got low interceptions, but he has high fumbles. So I didn't think his flat pass and his short pass were good enough. And then along with the fumbles, I don't know. I couldn't see him as being a first round pick in Battle Royale. So I'd be curious as to how he did there.
Yeah, I brought it up right here. This is hard to tell. I think I played Denver during the regular season. They had a horrible running game, if I remember correctly, Dan. So a lot of times he probably got pass called more than he normally should.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure who coached Denver. I'll have to find out if they like to go deep. But another thing where I can tell from there is his pass distribution.
Yeah, look. I'm gonna share my screen now. Look, here's Elway's card, And yeah, it has some blanks, flat especially, but that 7 long gain is so tempting, and his interceptions are so low that I do think it's worth a first-round pick. I had this quarterback card probably second or third on my list. You can really, I mean, remember, in this format, you need big plays. You cannot get by on flat passing, says the guy who wound up drafting Joe Montana, who has a terrible long pass card. But this card is fantastic. You're going to be able to put up a lot of points. There's no white die 6 rule. There's no dump off rule. So you need to be able to hit big plays, and that Elway card is tailor made to do that.
Yeah, but if you look at the way his team is drafted, and I think I'm already starting off to be the resident Tom here. If you look at it, I mean, that Tampa Bay halfback, Wilder's got high fumbles, great. Let me see. I don't know he's got Miami's line, great pass blocking line, but I don't think the run blocking is all that good. So I mean, like Mike just said, he's going to see a ton of pass calls in this league, and there's good pass rushing teams in this league the way we have it constructed. So it'll be really interesting to see how Keith does with that. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Elway. My screen name somewhere else is Elway7, Brett 5. So, but I'll be curious. I probably would have had him. I mean, I picked Jim Kelly in the 3rd round. I had Kelly as one of the top 3 quarterbacks. I was real happy to get him there. I actually had Kelly rated higher than Elway, so I'd like to see how Keith does on that. He'll probably kick my butt now.
We're giving everybody targets to put on our backs and go after us. So
yeah, the tough thing with the Kelly card is the picks. I mean, they're not as bad as Fouts. They're probably equal to Moreno.
Totally agree.
Yeah, that's going to be Elway faced 88% pass in the stock league. So you can imagine that he did not have a great year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he beat me in the playoffs, so maybe that's why I like that card so much, because it kicked my butt.
That makes it a great year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you look at his defense. I mean, he's got the Seattle D-back. I mean, that defense could be on the field quite a bit.
Yeah, he's going to be in some shootouts for sure. But here we're jumping all over the place. Let's focus on Larry's team. So let's talk about Larry's team. So he went KC. He went on defense the first 2 picks. KC, DB, Rams, linebackers, locked up that excellent pass defense. Then he went New York Giants halfbacks. Now, that card, the New York Giants halfbacks, although they're rated high in my sheet, it was one of those chunky type cards. Not exactly Justin Forsett, but who is it? Otis Anderson, or who's the other guy in there? Let me see. I'll pull
Joe
that up.
Morris.
Yeah, Joe Morris. That's what I'm thinking of. Joe Morris. So here's his card, and it's got 4.4 yards per carry. But look at that middle. It's like, it doesn't matter if you guess run or pass. You're going to get the same yardage, and you just hope you try to avoid those edges.
I mean, he's still okay and run wrong. I mean, 9 out of 36. That's not too bad. He's going to hit 13 or more yards.
Right.
And 6 out of 36. 4 out of 36. He's looking at 52 yards.
Yes. If you hit those big numbers, you're in great shape. But if you don't, you could easily go 3 and out guessed wrong. You roll right. 6, 7, and 10, and you're done.
I played them twice during the regular season, and to be honest with you, I actually beat him with Dallas. He went 14-2, Dan, during the season with the Giants. Obviously, they were the best team, and you just kind of have to give him the run a little bit. Yeah. With Morris, you got to let him run, and hopefully he doesn't hit the big numbers. You know what I mean? Somewhat.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Sims has got, from what my big board has, high fumbles and high interceptions. So.
No, he's got
No,
Pat
I'm talking
O'Brien.
about the Giants.
Oh, the Giants in general. Right.
But
Gotcha.
O'Brien, I think Pat O'Brien even has high fumbles and high interceptions too.
He was a card I was looking at as I was going later in the draft to try to find a quarterback, and I did consider him because he's got that 8 guessed right. Hold on, am I sharing my screen? No, I'm not. Let me put this up there again.
Yeah, he's got
So
an 8 guess right long game. The
yeah,
problem
but
with
the
him, he's got
straight
4
pick.
picks.
Yeah. Oof. So you don't want to roll that 10 or 2. You're going to turn the ball over quite a bit. But, one thing I noticed is that on those, and it's on 10 too, when you throw picks on a long pass, it's almost like a punt. So you can get away with it a little bit if they don't, get a long return attached to it. So he's got that quarterback card, the Ken O'Brien. He's got the chunky halfback, so you're not going to get a lot of run calls. You're going to get a lot of pass calls, especially in this rule set. He picked the New England wide receivers. Now they, if I remember right, they had the best receiver in the set in Stanley Morgan, and then Irving Fryer, who was like an above average complement. Am I right about that?
Yeah, he picks up that good punt return card from Irving Fryer, though, with that touchdown too.
Right. So Irving Fryer is decent. He's a I would say this is a 3-5-5 type card or a 4-5-5.
Mm-hmm.
And to go along with Stanley Morgan's 6-6-6. So that should be interesting. At least he's got some support there for Mr. O'Brien.
That Detroit tight end blocking back is huge with James Jones. You were talking about Joe Morris. You can ride that Jones card as in run game too.
Oh, he's a 6.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So how is his receiving ability?
I don't think it's very good, but and Morris's isn't either. So.
Got it. Okay. So he's got the Detroit. Oh, so he's got Jimmy Giles, who's not the Jimmy Giles of Tampa Bay. He was kind of it's a decent card, at least flat and short, but not like a super card.
Take a look at that James Jones card. It's not great, but you can use that running. It can get you the short yardage, and I'm looking at the passes. Yeah, and he's actually pretty good flat and actually very good short.
Right. That's one thing about this set is that unlike the modern day set, a lot of the fullbacks can run the ball. A lot of the fullbacks and halfbacks are very good catching the ball. A lot of them can go deep, which you don't see a lot in the modern sets.
That's why the Giants linebackers in the 6'5", 6'6" is going to serve me well, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because they'll be either on coverage or send them into blitz to bring the quarterback down. So he got the New England Patriots offensive line late. So one thing that Dan and I talked about was his decision to go 4-3 instead of 3-4. So when his 6th-round pick came up, he had a chance to get a couple of 3-4 defensive lines, including the ones that Dan and I picked, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, but he chose to go Philadelphia to get that Reggie White card. So any thoughts on that strategy?
Jesus, this might come back and bite me in the arse too, but I mean, a good run team. I mean, that's a great Reggie White card to have. I mean, I love the pass rush. You know me, Dennis, but that defensive line, run defense wise, I think is going to pose some problems for him against good run teams. And as we know, 86 is a lot more run oriented than present day teams.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of the guys that are traditional OOPS coaches, the ones that are in Autumn Wind and have been playing each other since the 70s, they seem to prefer a 4-3 defense over the 3-4. I'm not sure that's just, if that comes with playing the board game and a comfort level with that, but they seem to like those 4-3 defenses over the 4-3 or the 3-4.
It's funny, Dennis. I took, like I told you, I took about 10, 15 years off, and since I've jumped back in, I've been 4-3 pretty much every league I join, including most of my stock teams, and I'm coming around to the 3-4. So I'm of that generation that you're talking about, playing in the late 70s, early 80s, and 3-4 has just been so foreign to me. But now I'm starting to see the great benefits of it, so I'm excited to make that transition in all my leagues if I can.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just a matter of when we started playing Strat. What was the in vogue defense at the time, or what our comfort level is with those strategies that are involved. Because the thing that gets me, and this is something that I think Strat should address at some point, but what gets me about the 4-3 is that when you have a man in zone and you're at the goal line, it's so much easier to stuff somebody when you have a 3-4 defense as opposed to a 4-3. It seems like it's not fair with a man in zone or one man in zone or two men in zone, the defenses don't seem to be able to stop that 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, or 4th and goal, 3rd and goal type of situation. So that's why I always favor the 3-4 over the 4-3.
Couldn't agree more.
Cool. Okay, so let me. I'm putting my sheet here. Does anybody want to say anything else about Larry's team?
Another reason why I think the older guys like the 4-3 is they like that pass rush. Paul especially. They got that another guy on the line. He's always going to be there. He's going to get it. And looking at Larry's team, that is going to be really hard to play defense against the run with a 0-4-4 across that left side.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with an average run defense card, you know how many 8s you're going to roll on that? He's going to be giving up 10 yards a pop unless he's got someone in there. It's going to be a struggle. I mean, he's going to have excellent pass defense.
What does he have? The Rams? He has Rams linebackers, right?
Yeah, they are above average linebackers. But
so Reggie White's a left end.
Hold on,
yes.
Let me see. Yeah, he's a left end, right?
Yeah,
so he'll be on the right tackle.
So he's got that 4 left inside linebacker on that same side too, and on the
not going to provide too much support.
But he's got the 6. He's got the 6 and the 5 on the right side. So if he brings them up, he can possibly stop them.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, so they're balanced. The strong linebackers are on the weak D linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, I was going to ask you about this column here called wins. Is that what I think it is? Where you're
who you're going to beat?
No, I think it's. I think what it means is that you were above average in those rounds for those positions. Is that right, or what is wins?
Hold on, let me get. I don't even remember what I had in there.
You have run, pass, overall, and wins.
Oh no, that was. I cupped this spreadsheet from 2014. Mm-hmm. Those are the numbers from the Battle Royal: yards per pass, yards per run, per defense, what we gave up, and how many wins the team had.
Oh, so this is directly on the previous Battle Royale season?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
you'd have to match it up. For instance, it's not right. It's off because I sorted it and whatever.
Well,
I know
Larry didn't play with us last season.
No, I know, but I just wanted to use the sheet.
Oh, I see. So you used some other team for that. That's probably like, the only 4-win team was Jason and Loganville. I see.
I want Mike to put that sheet back up that has him going 13-1 in this '86 season. Well, where was that one?
Oh yeah, share that one. I'll share your screen.
No, I don't have that one.
Okay.
Giants went 14-2.
Not yet, right?
Oh,
Jesus! Look at the Patriots stuff on that screen. God, man.
Look at that baby, Dennis.
Oh, that's outstanding. That is outstanding.
Oh,
Malcolm Butler, you bastard.
He had to pick it off, Dan. He could have knocked it down. They wouldn't have won the Super Bowl. I'm not even
a Patriots fan. And that's the greatest play in football history.
Yeah,
it is.
Pretty amazing. What's interesting is after that first down run to Marshawn Lynch that got the ball down to the 1, if they had stayed with that personnel group, Malcolm Butler's never on the field because they went 3 wide, and you saw that coach on the sideline saying, "Hey, we need another DB, we need another corner. Malcolm, get out there." They didn't want a second. They didn't want a third safety out there because they had been burning the safety with regularity. They didn't want Arrington out there. They went and they called Malcolm Butler out there, and he's actually turned into a very good player. I think he's going to go pretty high in this fall's drafts because I don't think he was carded before. But he's played great. You got to give it to him for making an incredible play. But they should have stuck with Tukuafu on the field, the fullback, and ran it again, as everybody knows.
You know what? If you've seen that documentary on NFL Network on the Patriots, it really goes into the detail on that play. And Bill Belichick put that defensive formation out there before Carroll put his offense out there, and he just sat back, and his assistant coaches were saying, "You're going to call timeout? You're going to call timeout?" And Belichick didn't answer him, didn't even say a word, and just kept staring across the field at Carroll, and the implication is that Carroll panicked, and it led to that. So.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to bail him out by calling a timeout. It looked like they were quite organized.
Yep.
Well, for some reason, I haven't made the time to watch that New England Patriots documentary on the 2014 season, but I'm going to put that on my calendar.
Yeah, you
Actually,
definitely should watch that.
actually, Mike, my 10-year-old watched it with me. She's a football fan, and she walks around, and because of that documentary, if you've seen it, Mike, she walks around and she calls Tom Brady a ninja.
That's funny. Yeah. Dan, where are you from?
I'm from Lewiston, Maine, originally, so, and I'm up here now, back up here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Larry Riley, we've looked at
Yes.
his team. Give me a prediction. This is his first time in Battle Royale, first time with this format, but he's a good coach, comes from a good Strat family. So where do you see his yet-to-be-named team winding up?
7-9. I mean, we're playing 14, right?
16.
Oh,
yeah, we are playing
15
14.
games. We're playing 14 games.
Yeah.
6-8. 6-8.
Okay. Let me,
Yeah, I think that's about right. I've been in baseball leagues with Larry for about 10 years. I don't play baseball anymore, but I've never been in a football league with him, and I've never played him. So I really have no idea. But
yeah, it's a
yeah,
little bit of a wild card for sure.
yeah. I don't think it's a playoff team.
Oh, I got to put these in the wrong thing. Okay, so what's your prediction? I need a record.
7-7.
Okay, I'm gonna. Larry, don't hate me, but I just because, like you said, it's a your first year in this format, and I think he is in spring fever, so I've seen him there, and he's coached pretty well, but I'm gonna go one worse. I'm gonna go 5-9.
9.
So that's my prediction. Prove me wrong, Larry. Prove me wrong.
All right, the next guy on the list, Joe, 0-16, and you'll know why.
What was that all about? Just because he shut you out in the playoffs? Now, come on.
He actually waxed me, man.
I know.
Jesus.
He really put together a good strategy for playing defense, and I'm surprised that he only went 9-7 because, he shut out the number one. For those of you who are listening to this and don't know, Dan, the coach of the Honolulu Hammerheads, had the best regular season record at 13-3, had the number one seed, and he got shut out in that game. And Joe also held Mike, or no, who did he beat after that? Was it Mike?
Yeah, me.
So he held Mike to a 12-10 win. So he held him to 10 points. And Mike was a higher seed and had pretty good success that year. And then up until the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, I had 17 points or something like that.
10.
No, 10 points. So he had me down to 10 points until my miracle comeback. But Joe, what a resume you put together in the playoffs, beating all three of us, and probably should have beat me, and put together one heck of a team. He knows how to call a defensive game in this rule set.
I was shocked Larry didn't take Miami, and Moreno's dropped to Joe now, and I'm like, this is going to be trouble. Big trouble.
Just because of the way he coaches now, he put together a
Yeah.
great defensive effort in the playoffs, but the regular, I think he had pretty decent points scored in the Battle Royale season as well. So
Yeah, he did all right. I beat him. It was one of those things in your format, Dennis, where you say, pick who you want in the playoffs.
right.
And I chickened out and went with the chalk because I didn't want to piss anybody off. And then when I looked, I beat him by 2 touchdowns in the regular season. And when I looked back, it was because of a punt return touchdown and an interception touchdown. It was a close game otherwise. And then when I was planning for that playoff game, I looked at his team and I said, oh, crap. I said, his team out of all the other teams in the league was the closest built to mine. And so I sat there and I said, this is I couldn't have picked a worse opponent in the first round going into that game. And then all of a sudden you were watching it. It's 7-0. And I said, I'm going to kick out of bounds every single time. I don't care where I am. And I'm just going to play for a field goal if I'm deep in my end and I kick it out of bounds on defense. And I sat there and I clicked punt and I said, I'm just going to kick it to Hyde once. What are the odds that he's going to hit the touchdown on this one punt? And sure enough, boom, 14-0. And I just said, oh, crap, I'm in deep trouble now because my offense, I was not behind by 2 scores, I don't think, all year.
Right.
And
Yeah.
with Joe Flacco, and I think Mike, you did the Thrills and Chills, right?
No,
No.
Tyke. Tyke
Oh,
did that.
Tyke did it, and he said Joe Flacco's a Super Bowl quarterback, but not this year. So all season I'm winning games, and I'm going, man, when I win this title, I'm going to go back and say, how do you like that, Joe Flacco? I'm going to pull a Kirk Cousins. You know, how do you like that?
Yeah.
And then all of a
Nice.
sudden, in the biggest game of the year, Joe Flacco goes like 2 for 90. So anyway, but Joe did a ridiculous job coaching in the playoffs, and he's a good coach. So this team right here, though, you got Marino, the Cincinnati. He's got Marino and that Green Bay halfback unit, and the blocking back tight end for Cincinnati. And
Now that's a decent group, but you got to play it.
the running game isn't very strong at all. So again, it's going to be another 90% pass call, and that Philadelphia wide receiver unit, unless he picks something else up from another unit, if I remember right, it's Mike Quick and nothing else.
So he went after Marino. He got an offensive line to protect him in the second round,
Yeah.
and then 3, 4, 5, and 6 were defense and kick return, punt return. So
Yeah.
he's really hoping to do things on the defensive end, but even by picking defense 3 rounds in a row in the top half of the draft, he was only able to get average pass defense. I think that might hurt him.
And how are you going to get around in some cases with that running game's a little bit weak, and it's high fumble on both sides, if I recall. Green Bay and Cincinnati. Kennebrew is a good running fullback, but he's got high fumbles, which is why I didn't take him and took the Rams instead the pick before for blocking back tight end.
Right.
And I remember looking at that Green Bay halfback unit, and I redded them out from the start of the draft because of fumbles, unless I'm mistaken. Unless
Well,
Kenneth Davis is okay, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kenneth
Kenneth Davis has, I think, because this is the part of the draft where I was really hurting as well, and I made a fatal mistake. We'll talk about that later. But Kenneth Davis, I went through this. He has like 14 carries, and his fumble number is like 1734.
Mhm.
114. 114.
Oh no, I mean in the game, so that you'll see that he has 14
right.
unfatigued
14.
carries. Let me get this over here. There we go. Why my Excel is messed up. Let me close this thing, open back up again. But yeah, so anyway, he has kind of an average fumble number in the set. 17 guessed right, 32 guessed wrong. Or no, 32 guessed right, 17 guessed wrong. So
That's pretty good.
that's not bad, but he's the only one. The other two guys are awful, really bad. The other two Green Bay guys. So
Yeah, did he get Ellis?
yes,
Yeah, he
Ellis is
did.
part of his group.
Okay.
High fumbles, though.
Yeah, Dan, you're talking 4.76.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you're
I know.
let's say you're in the lead, and you gotta what are you doing to run out clock and avoid a turnover if you run through all those carries? He's gonna run Kenneth Davis. He's got to run him at least 7-8 times in the first half, maybe.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there trying to play keep away and keep a lead in the second half with a very high interception quarterback and one running back that doesn't fumble.
Good points. Good points. So
Yeah, Marino
Yeah.
can be stopped, Dan. There's no doubt about it. In the stock league that we had, my team, the Patriots, we beat them twice.
Yeah.
So I mean, he can be stopped. I mean, he gets his points. But
And I know, I'll double Mike Quick, a million. I think is Quick a split end or flanker?
let me see.
yeah, Quick is a split in.
So in my defensive
Right.
back unit is a 6-6-0-4 going across. So I get a 4 on Quick and I got 6 on the flanker. So when I play Joe, I mean, I'm gonna double Quick's brains out. I got 2 6s and linebackers covering his backfield reception options. I got a 6 covering his flanker. So he's got Holman at tight end, who has a very sweet, and I even complimented him on the forum for that pick because I almost picked Cincinnati because of Holman, because he's not one of the top cards as far as total catches, but you look at that card and goodness gracious, he's got juicy meat on that bone.
Nice.
So I mean, it's he beat me 27-0. Let me just reiterate that. So, but I
You
mean,
see some problems with this team. I mean,
I do. And I'm not. I didn't totally look at because once I got the Giants linebackers, I blew off everybody's linebacker pick. I didn't even pay attention.
yeah,
Obviously, I didn't have to. But the DBs, Minnesota, I think that's a good pick. That was my last chance to get a good with my Giants linebackers. So after that, I think I was resigned to average. So I think his defense is real good, and he plays excellent defense as a coach.
right. So
So
that'll get him some wins for sure.
maybe that'll be enough. Now one other thing in this league, as before we go on to finish Joe or go to my team, is that the we're talking 1986 here, and I don't know if you guys agree, but these kickers and punters are putrid.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's why when I was going to go for Morton Anderson in the 6th round, and then Jim snagged him in the 5th, New Orleans was obviously the best kicker punter, so I was definitely going for Tony Zendejas, the Houston punter, and those coverage units to get that out of the way, because I think there are going to be a ton of missed 35-yard field goals in crucial times during this year. And there are a lot of good punt return cards too, with short punters back 20 years ago. So
Hey, I'm back.
oh, okay. Mike, you still there?
Yep.
Okay. So what do you think about? I mean, he's got a good defense. I think that run game is going to be a struggle in certain games, and then in a lot of these close games, because we get a lot of good coaches here, there are going to be a lot of close games, and I think special teams are going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to be on Moreno, basically,
Yep.
this team's fortune. I mean, Joe's going to play good D, you know it, but if Moreno, throws 30 picks, it's just going to be bad news. He's going to be throwing a lot into right. I can't see anyone, being honest with their run game. Although some of the older guys in this league, they like to call run a little bit more, but
I love that.
but with Moreno, it's going to be all him.
And he's a Pitt
Yeah.
grad like I am, so you got to give him credit for that. Good job, Joe.
So it's an interesting team. It's kind of balanced in a way. The defense is strong, but it has its weaknesses. In the pass defense, the offense is strong, but it's got no, one of the lower running games, second to last pick of running backs. The only one worse than him is going to be me when I pick when I do make my running back pick. So what do you guys see for his record?
I'm going to say 8-6.
Okay.
I gotta go 9-5.
All right. I'm going to go. What am I going to go? I like this as a playoff team still. I'm going to go 9-5 as well.
I don't see, looking at all these teams, I'd be surprised. I think the number 1 seed is going to be 10-4 at best.
That's the beauty of Battle Royale. You have, or Summer Sprint, the same thing. You have a very balanced league. When we're playing in some of these modern draft leagues, the problem is you get tiers. You have teams that are going for it this year. They're very top heavy, and then you have some teams that are rebuilding. So you always have like a bunch of non-competitive games. You never have a non-competitive game. I mean, very rarely will you have a non-competitive game. Even if the score is one way or the other, the game and the teams are very balanced. So that's what I like about the format.
Yep. And one of the things I like, I mean, I let the draft come to me. I have fun crafting a team that all of you coaches give me, so to speak.
Right.
But you can also come into this, and I think one of these years in Battle Royale, whether it's a sprint or the regular one, I'm going to go in there and say, hey, I want to see how this team functions, and I may do all offense, all running game, and good pass, and see how that works. And just you can kind of just from scratch build the team you want to build and play how you want to play, and just experiment, and you can carry that over into your draft teams, and that's why I like this too.
And speaking of playing the way you want to play, let's talk about Dan's team. So Dan had that number 3 overall pick. So it's interesting too, as we talk about these teams, we're talking about them in the order that they had their draft. So the number 3 pick comes up. Dan already talked about it. The KC DBs were off the board. The Miami's quarterbacks off the board. So he goes New York Giant linebackers, which is an excellent pick. You cannot go wrong with that. By grabbing that pick, you're basically able to pick any defensive line, as Mike showed in his spreadsheet, and still wind up with a good run defense. Is that right?
Yeah,
Why do I have you?
That's what I saw.
Yeah. So, and then, although you have them there in your sheet as average, I don't think that's right.
No, these aren't right.
Okay. So
I have some of them right, but I don't know all of them.
Okay, gotcha. So then, actually, let me share my screen. So then, the other thing it does is it affords you the ability to add any DB group, and you'd be at least average. So you kind of blew off those 2 spots for a while, and like you said, let the draft come to you. You picked up the Washington offensive line in the 2nd round. Was that the first offensive line off the board or the second?
It was, I believe, the second, because I think Keith took Miami first.
Gotcha.
Earlier in the round. And the funny thing is I had Washington typed in to the forum, and I looked at my sheet again, and I said, you know what? I think I want Chicago. And I went in to the forum. I had split screens, and I opened up the other screen, and I accidentally hit submit. And Washington posted on the forum, and I almost immediately tried to hit edit, and then I said, I'm not going to do that. I don't know if there's some rule, once it's in, and you got to take it. I didn't want to have a discussion, so I said, all right, I'll take Washington. But I wanted Chicago instead. So I just felt, because I figured at that point what I was going to do is go for a quarterback, and a quarterback first and running back second. But I wanted to get a good, strong run game. So the way I figured it is Chicago would protect a quarterback well and also give you a better balanced run game because they're great run blocking all the way across. But then in hindsight, one of the reasons why I was looking at Washington, and in the end I'm actually happy I ended up with Washington, is because of those 2, the left tackle and the left guard 7s. So when you're looking at a majority 3-4 defense, that top linebacker is going to come in that left guard. So I got a 7 right there. So any top linebacker hits my 7. And then that 7 left tackle, there aren't a whole lot of 12s in high pass rush left ends. As a matter of fact, I think I have the highest on my team. So not a lot of high pass rushes coming in at the right tackle. So I have that left side,
Right.
those right ends and those high linebackers covered with that offensive line.
Nice. Yeah, because I had the Chicago offensive line as the top line. That's the one I wanted. I didn't get them, but I wound up with another good line. But that's interesting that you said you have them typed in. Now, just to let everybody know, if you make a pick and you want to immediately change it, I think you're okay with that, although there are people that subscribe to the thread, so they'll see the original pick, but I would always put an explanation saying, hey, I made a mistake, I meant to type this, or hey, I didn't realize that this unit was missing, it's whatever. We're not like Nazis on this. We will let you, with a reasonable explanation and in a reasonable amount of time, change your pick. But what we don't want is, hey, is it okay if I throw this guy back? I picked last round because now I realize that I could have had somebody else. That's not allowed. And actually, even when it gets beyond a pick or 2, if somebody's picked already, that's when I was like, no, since that, you don't want to have to go back and redo other people's picks.
Yep.
So, but I appreciate your integrity and sticking with that. That's nice, Dan. And if people don't know, Dan works in politics, so I imagine that you're one of the very few that was it would
like the hunt for Red October, when the politician looks at Alec Baldwin and said, I'm a politician, so I'm not kissing babies, I'm stealing their candy.
Exactly. So, where else? So you got the Washington offensive line, then you went back to offense. Then you said, I got the Giants linebackers. That's an exceptional group. It gives me a lot of flexibility. Then you got Buffalo's quarterback, the Rams halfbacks. Man, that has to be one of the top quarterback halfback combos in the set so far.
You know, I didn't. I'm my third favorite football player of all time is Eric Dickerson, and so I saw it when Dennis, when you put out 1986, I was like, outstanding. Eric Dickerson's second best year of his career, or second or third. I said this is going to be great, but I didn't want to, let my heart pick a player, and then I could have sworn he'd be gone by the time the fourth round came to me, and then he's sitting there, and I wanted. Who I really loved was Walter Abercrombie. I'm serious. I loved that card from Pittsburgh, and I thought I could wait and get him late. And then sitting there in the fourth round, I see Dickerson, and I have Kelly, and I have that line, and I went, God. I said, I'm just going to have some fun and pick one of my all-time favorite players and go with it. So I'm pretty happy about this offense. And then the wide receivers at number 5, Dwight Clark and Jerry Rice. I mean, I looked at that, and I wanted balance, and they have the exact same flat pass cards, I think.
Sorry, my boys are coming over to say hi. So here's the 5th grade graduate today. This is Ryder. He graduated 5th grade. Well
Nice
done.
work.
Took him to his favorite restaurant. And this is say hi. So we're just talking about Eric Dickerson. You know who that is? Yeah, and I haven't taught you guys much about retro football. Yes, he's from Hogwarts. Yes,
Are they baseball fans?
They're football fans, but not past modern games. What they like.
So they don't like the World Series champions then?
What do you guys think? Well, here's what. Show them the dab. This is what they were doing in school today. They were doing a lot of dabbing.
Oh God.
So a little Cam Newton action there.
There you go.
So, all right, guys.
Did they fall in the fumble, or did they run away from it?
See you later. Okay.
Bye.
All right. So there's my little interruption there.
That's awesome. So the San Francisco, wide receivers, I was looking at them. I had a number of choices, and then I love the balance between Rice and Clark. The flat passes are almost identical. There are no minus hits on their flat pass rights. They're both maxed out short pass, and then I have Jerry Rice maxed out long pass. So after I went away, after there was a run on those DBs, and like you said, Dennis, I knew I was going to get a good run defense regardless. I threw away the good average decision on DBs. I wasn't going to chase anything, and then I just decided to build the best offense I could.
Yeah, and you're going to get, unlike my team and Joe's team, you're going to get a lot of run calls because of the Dickerson card, and that will allow you to use Rice's deep threat and be able to hit those max short passes to Clark and Rice. So yeah. I see what you're doing there.
And then getting Redden. That last, getting the complete Rams backfield. I really like Redden's card, and since I've been harping on fumbles earlier, one of the things I was concerned is Kelly's got those interceptions. Dickerson's not the greatest ball handler in the world, and then you have. So I needed a fullback that could eat clock, gain yards, and have low fumbles. So I was looking for that in one of my last picks, and I love Barry Redden's run card. It'll be good down by the goal line, and if somebody decides to key because of my line, if somebody decides to overly key Dickerson, then I have Redden in a pro set to balance with a ton of carries to kind of shy away from that. And then here's one of the things that happened in the draft. I don't know if this ever happens to you, but I was ready to pick in round 7. I was going for my return group, and I was going between the Seattle with that great punt return card and good kick return cards, or I was going to grab the Cleveland returners that had 2 touchdowns, one on kick and one on punt. And the last thing I do before every pick is I go into each page on the ratings and I filter general things. I'm like, who's the best off tackle right, off tackle run, running a fullback left? Who's the best receiver? Who's the best flat pass catching? And then as I was doing that, and I had it typed in again, Cleveland, and this time it worked out. And all of a sudden, I hit a filter, and I said, who's the best pass-catching halfback, fullback on there? And all of a sudden, I looked, and I hadn't looked at this at all in my prep, and I saw Gary Anderson, and I said, holy crap, is that a good receiving card?
Yes.
For a running back. And I said, he can also gain some yards. He's got a little bit of high fumbles. But then I said, goodness gracious. And then
That's a weapon.
yeah. And then I saw Lionel James, really high fumbles. But you see his wrong column.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got big time yards, like the Dennis Crowley end of the first half, end of the game, end run card.
Yes, I love those types of guards.
And so I saw that, and I said, Jesus, so I can pull, if it's an average pass defense with some weak outside linebackers, with Rice and Clark, and I can put Gary Anderson in the backfield instead of Eric Dickerson, and just,
Carolina Panthers.
try and pick away at whatever defense I'm playing. So that's kind of how I constructed it. So, I have Dickerson, Gary Anderson, Barry Redden, Lionel James in the backfield with a really good run blocking line up the middle and on one side. And then with that Rams blocking back in tight end, I also get David Hill on the right side, who's a pretty weak receiver at tight end, but he's a 6 pass blocker. And if you look at that second tight end, Tony Hunter, he's got a good receiving card. So I can also switch into a 2 tight ends to take advantage of matchups, keep Dickerson in the backfield, and have that 16-22 second tight end on the left side.
Nice. Yeah, that's huge. It's a really well-balanced offense, and that's without taking a skill position in your first 2 picks. But you did, concentrate on them in the next 3, and then grab the Rams tight end late, which has a lot of value. I mean, that's what you're looking for in this format. You're looking to add value, so you can get halfbacks, that a halfback unit that has some fullbacks in there that can run, or a tight end unit that has fullbacks, or a tight end unit that has special teams guys. I mean, it's crazy how this set is put together. There's, returners in almost, there's returners that are fullbacks, which is unusual, and there's receivers that can have a nice return card, or DBs that have a nice return card. So it's nice to get those added values from those units that most people may not look at them at first glance as having that kind of value.
Yeah, and on defense, and then I'll let it go so we can move on to other teams, and Mike can talk for once. But and that defense, on the defensive line, believe it or not, I had 2 defensive lines in mind the entire time, and it was Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and they were pretty much the last 2 left. And the reason why I wanted Cleveland with that linebacker unit, even though those 4s on defensive end, if I had a 6 nose tackle with these linebackers, I mean, I could completely shut down inside running games on the defensive card. You look at that good run D with 6s and 5s, and you can just destroy a run offense with a good run. So, but then I love pass rush, as Dennis knows, and I had 12-12 Lawrence Taylor. One thing I did not want to do, no matter what, was get a line that had a 12 and a star 1 or a star 2 or a star 3 and take away that Lawrence Taylor star 12 when he was on the line, because they go back and forth. I hate that, how Strat does that.
Right.
So I said, what's the best I can do? Get an 11. And so the left defensive end for Pittsburgh is an 11. The nose tackle is a 5. I have 2 5s on the left side, and my 4 defensive end on the right side is backed up by Gary Reason, not Gary Reasons, but it's Lawrence Taylor and whoever is the right inside linebacker, 2 6s.
Right.
So and Taylor's going to be on the line 90% of the time anyway, whether it's a run or a pass.
So having an average pass defense, it's not that big of a deal, because you're going to be bringing heat, you're going to be bringing pressure, and if people try to pass on you with the pass blockers in this set, they're going to have trouble.
Yeah, you remember SSFA last year, Dennis? I had all 4s in the secondary. So people looked at those 4s and they said, I am going to kill this guy downfield. And I had 67 sacks because I said, all right, I'm not going to double. You want to throw short and pass? Go ahead. I'm rushing 8. And it worked out. And if I need to, in this case, when you go 3rd and long with those backup D linemen, which are huge in this year's set, I have an 11, 7, 9 on the line, and then a 9, 12, 12 coming in from linebackers. And
Nice.
if you blitz all 3 of those linebackers, then on the line I have 15, 11, and 13 on a 3-3-5 in the line. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yes. So, Mike, any last minute thoughts on Dan's team before we throw the predictions out there?
Yeah, Dan got great value at these picks. You see, you want to be ahead of the curve on these, and that quarterback pick, I think there's a huge run right after Dan picked.
Yeah.
New
Yes.
England, Philly, Seattle, so he was ahead of the curve there. The Eric Dickerson being there in the fourth round was friggin' insane. I couldn't believe he was still there. I played Dickerson in the '86 season, and I couldn't stop him. Basically, his run right is so good at over 4 yards a carry, you're not going to have to worry about, you're not going to care what the defense calls. You're just going to just run them whenever you want to run them.
Right.
And the San Francisco wide receivers were right up there. Again, a great value play. And one thing I did want to ask you, Dan, you grabbed the Green Bay defensive backs, and I noticed it's got a. You wanted the sixth left corner. I noticed, so that was your plan there. Even though you have the zero strong safety, you thought it would be better.
Yeah, I think I spent the most time on that pick out of any pick in this draft because at that point Philly was left, and Philly's a four free safety and a 5.50, and those were the only two pretty much left at that time because I was waiting late. I was going to get an average, and then I wanted to construct it the best way I can. When I compared the 5.50 and the 6.04, what I looked at is the six pretty much wipes out the flanker. Some people still throw at him, but people for some reason have a tendency not to touch sixes, especially on draft cards. So I looked and I said zero free strong safety. If you look long pass, that's what I'm most afraid of. And Dennis even mentioned this. You need big plays. You look at the long pass. I think there are 4 tight ends that have a 9 guess right long pass, and then there are I think 6 or 7 5s long pass guess right. And then you look, but if you look at the flankers and the split ends, obviously I think there's 6 maxed out long pass, and you're talking 15s and 12s for the best flankers and split ends.
Right.
So I figured getting a 6 on one of those sides can pretty much take that receiver out for the most part. And then if I need to double the split end a lot, then fine, I'll do it. I'll double it. And then you know what? Go deep to your 6 flanker and go deep to your 9 or your 5 guess right long pass tight end. And if you hit it, congratulations. If you get away from Lawrence Taylor first.
Yeah, and you can use those inside linebackers to double on the strong safety as well.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Double,
And then
double
and the
tight
funny
ends
and with a 6, that's a good point, Dennis, because with my linebackers they're 6'5", 6'6". So if I double that tight end with that 5, I still have 3 6s across in each flat.
Yeah, and if somebody goes too tight in on you, you can use one of the inside linebackers to reassign coverage, double with an inside linebacker. Or if you want to blitz your outside linebacker to get the pass rush, you can use the 5 or 6 on the inside to reassign coverage.
Yeah,
So,
it's funny, Mike. Before that Dickerson was there, I was looking and I wasn't happy with the way this was going. I thought Dickerson would be gone. I thought San Francisco would be gone. So I was sitting there saying, Jesus, I got the Giants. I'm not going to get the stud defense like I had in 2014 Battle Royale, and I'm not going to have good balance on offense. And I was very, very worried. And then by the time rounds 5 and 6 came, and I got Zendejas, which I think is going to be one of the most important picks for me anyway. I was really psyched after round 6, and I knew where it was going because Pittsburgh was still there. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah, the one thing I love about this draft is nobody has the same thinking. When we're drafting in the fall, kind of everyone's got the same guys. It's the quarterbacks that go early, this and that. But everyone kind of has their own idea. I mean, sometimes you're like, oh my God, my unit might go. And then sure enough, like a round later, it's still not gone. Just because other guys are looking at other things on this chart here, and they like, you like the 6th corner. Like I didn't anticipate the Green Bay corner DB's going, but then looking at it when you picked it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I got the St. Louis D. I was looking at Green Bay also, but I didn't want a 0 because I didn't want a target that someone could go after when I'm calling run or anything like that. And Also, the value of getting the 18 versus 17, it really wasn't much. And now looking in retrospect, I probably should have waited. But yeah, when I saw your Green Bay pick, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense. But yeah, you had a really good value pick, that's for sure. And oh,
Wow.
D line, did you end up with the Pittsburgh D line? Is that who you
Yeah,
took?
yeah, he's got Pittsburgh,
Yes, sir.
and he gets to take him in the 10th round. So like one of the top D lines in the 10th round. That's a nice snag.
You know,
Yeah.
it's funny. I think I got the Philly defensive line in the ninth or 10th round in 2014 Battle Royale, which was really helped me out a lot too.
So there you go. There's some inside scoops. Wait on the D line, you'll get a good one, maybe. So let's predict Dan's record. I'll go first this time. I see this as one of the top teams in the set. I think those giant linebackers are going to wreak havoc, and Eric Dickerson and Jim Kelly is such a nice combo. So I'm going to go with 11-3 as my prediction. Mike, what do you got?
I'll
Say
go
Dan.
10. I'll go 10-4.
Okay. And Dan, how are you going to talk about your own team? What do you think?
Jesus, we do our own.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna-
14-0.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with Mike and say 10-4. I always, if we don't pay attention to a lot of other coaches sometimes, but I have a tendency to get blown out in about 2 or 3 games a year in every league I play in.
That's just strat. You have those games where just everything goes wrong. So, all right,
So-
moving on to the Cleveland Snow Sharks. Mike Nemchura. How do you say that? Anyway,
Mike
help me
N.
out here.
Mike and
Mike N. Coach Nemo. Coach
Yeah.
Nemo. Mike
Right,
Nemo.
Yeah.
Mike, you're gonna have to tell me how to say your last name. So Mike's his first pick overall was the Raiders defensive line. So he's picking fourth. There's 3 really prime choices. They go boom, boom, boom. And now he's picking fourth, and he goes Raiders D-line. What do you think about that pick?
I think it was
Yeah.
outstanding. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, obviously the best D line by far, pass rush and 665. Yeah, he couldn't. And then another thing too, by picking that line, he could get no worse than good run defense the rest of the day.
See, that's the key. So I have the Raiders also as my top D-line. If you're able to grab a group that allows you to ignore another group or two until later in the draft, that is a huge deal. So I have the Raiders and Chicago as the top 2 defensive line. Chicago if you're going 4-3, obviously, and Raiders if you're going 3-4. So, and you're right, you do get the pass rush. You get those asterisks on the lines. Now I know that Dan says he doesn't want the asterisk on the D line to interrupt his Lawrence Taylor, but not everybody has a 12-star pass rusher to bring down to the line of scrimmage. And when you have those asterisks on the line of scrimmage, and your opponent has like a 0 halfback or fullback in there in a single back set, you have a good chance at a sack. You know, that's like one of those hidden value things. You won't, a lot of times when you look at the game log, oh, I didn't get a sack that time. Oh, no asterisk pass rusher because I wasn't blitzing the free safety. When you have somebody like that on the line, you're able to at least have a chance for a sack.
Yeah, and also notice he went Chicago DB right away. So basically he's locking in good, probably average at that point, and doesn't have to worry about the linebackers.
I absolutely love this team. I mean, this team is constructed. Like I told you, I love the Abercrombie card, and he got him in the 7th round. Eason, I think, is one of the good quarterbacks in the set, one of the better quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's
Oh, yeah,
underrated.
He's very
Mike
underrated.
did well with Eason in the SSRFL.
I mean, the Washington receivers. I mean, that is
Solid.
outstanding.
Yes.
Defense, as Mike just said, and now the Minnesota O-line. I don't know. Somebody remind me about them.
Well, here's my draft prep spreadsheet. Let's see, where's that at?
Yeah,
He's
they're
got 5
5-5.
4-0-4-4 on run, and 5-3-3-5-5 on pass. So he's got
That's
some
his-
good.
Yeah, that's his only weak spot on that team,
Yep.
in my opinion.
But Easton, if I remember right, if I'm looking at my big board, Easton I had as low interception, good flat, good short, nothing long. So, I mean, he'll be able to move the ball. Eason's an underrated card, and like if Abercrombie's an underrated running back card. So he nailed the defense, like Mike said, and I think he has an offense that people are going to go into and go, yeah, but he's going to move the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that team. And then, like you said, he got the Seattle kicker punter. Well, you talked about the kick returner, punt returner, but the kicker punter on Seattle, all the kickers in this set are just different levels of crap. But that return coverage card on Seattle, both the kick return and the punt return coverage is outstanding. So that's another little edge that you get there.
And let me see, the tight ends, Calvin McGee, that was a nice pick. It was like that kind of down the board, 19 short pass gets right. So he's got a good option short in his tight ends besides that ridiculous wide receiver set that he's got. So
yeah, that was the tight end group I wanted around that point in the draft. He snagged
nice.
Them.
So this is the coverage I'm telling you about. And then Seattle, 10, 11, and 12 on 7, 8, and 12 on the kick return coverage, and 1, 2, and 3 on the punt return coverage. That's just crazy. That's really good. I mean, outside of the 1983 Cleveland Browns that everybody complains about, or 80 that has.
Yeah, we ought to start a Strat forum thread on that and see if we can get anybody involved, whether that's accurate or not.
See if we can get anybody else banned from the forum. So, but yeah, that's a nice. He's put together a really nice team.
Yeah, the one weakness is with Norm Johnson, his kicker. He's only 15 out of 36 from 40 to 49, so he's going to have to get inside the 22-yard line for his field goals.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, he's going to be able to put a young Steve Grogan in for running there.
That's right.
All right. Well, do you guys want to get right to the predictions with Mike so we don't spend all night on all these teams? What do you guys see for this team?
You first, Mike.
8-6.
9-5.
All right. I'm going to go. I make up of the team, and a lot of times. Sometimes it's the coach just as much as it is the team. You'll see the same coaches wind up in the playoffs over and over again. So I'll go 8-6 as well. I think that offensive line is going to be the way to attack him. So if it holds up, he'll be double-digit wins. If it doesn't hold up, he'll be right there on the cusp of the playoffs. All right, so let's go to Jason Owens, picking 5th. His number 1 pick was the the New England linebacker group. So if you couldn't get the New York Giants linebackers, New England was his second-rated linebacker group, and I think it was up there for me as well. What does that group look like?
Andre Tippett, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has 6'6", or 6'12", 9 asterisk, 5'9", 5'3", and 5'12", 5 asterisk. So he's got 2 asterisk pass rushers, 2 of them are 12s. So you have that second high linebacker, and he's a 12, even against a 5-rated guard. That's going to have a potential chance for a sack when he brings the house.
Oh, look at that D line, and he's got 12 bookends on there and stars too.
Nice. That's the San Diego defensive, right?
Yeah, he's going to get some sacks. I love that.
Yeah, I think he even mentioned to me during the draft because I was trying to, when he was getting ready to pick his DB unit, one of the last units he picked. He's like, I want people to pass. I want people to throw on me because he's planning on piling up the sacks.
Absolutely, I love his style.
Boom. So phrasing. All right. So where are we at with where did he go? Where's my little thing? Here it is. So he got the New England linebackers. He went right away San Diego defensive line. Then he switched over to the offensive side. And I thought this was kind of a surprising pick. The Philadelphia quarterbacks in round 3, I didn't have them as the top-rated quarterback on my board then. What do you guys think about Randall Cunningham and that quarterbacking group?
Dennis,
Jaworski's in there too.
It's funny, when I saw him pick there, I couldn't believe he picked it so early, but I'm going to tell you, I had a theory too. Same thing. I was going to wait and go run offense and then grab Cunningham late in the draft. If you look at that must-run card, I was just going to try and have fun and see how it worked. He's got, if you look, I think it's 24 or 25 hits. He's only got like 2 completions, but if you add his must-runs, it's 24 or 25, and those must-runs, I think, average 8, and the top end of that column has a ton of huge gains. And his flat, if you look, his flat pass is okay. So if you get a run offense and you're jamming runs up the middle, let's say with Dickerson, and you have a good run line like he does, he's got the Rams run line, which is the best one in the set. So he's got Roger Craig, Marcus Allen, the Rams run line, and that guessed wrong flat pass of Cunningham is, good by anybody's standards. So, and then if you throw enough on first down, I mean, if you can mix the flat pass wrongs well enough to get somebody to call pass and then hit the must runs in the short, it'll be tricky, but I want to see how this works because I thought about doing the same thing.
Interesting. Yeah, the one thing, the Radies disc that I used to prep that we get from Strat has never been able to figure out a formula that accurately represents the value of must-run quarterbacks. So they're always lower in the sheet, and that has a tendency. And now, you think by now, with me having Russell Wilson so many times, that I would come up with a way to compensate for that. But I really haven't put the time into that to figure out where somebody like Randall Cunningham should rank when you're looking at quarterbacks. I see what you're saying. That is a ton of must-runs, and his must-run card is fantastic. It's the best in the set. And
look, go deep. Look at this is what I love about must-run quarterbacks. So if you guess run all the time, then look at that. I like that guess wrong long pass column. And then if you try and catch him by going long, then what's the harm? He's got barely any interceptions anywhere. And then so you call right on long pass, and you hit 20-something must-runs.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's an interesting strategy. That's going to be
one thing I wanted
to see how this plays out.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add is his short pass guard. It's 8.6 is the yards per must run.
Yeah.
So his short pass card is 6.4 average, right, 6.3 wrong. So he's going to be able to. He's going to be able to, no matter what the defense calls, basically have a 6.3 average on his card.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now sacks and stuff like that might hurt, but he's got the Rams line. He should be okay.
Nice, and then he does have Jaws there. So if he's pissed at Randall Cunningham, the Jaworski card's not bad, right? If I remember. Oh no, it is kind of bad.
It's awful.
So never mind. I'm thinking of 1983. So there you go. So Randall or bust for Jason.
Well, he's not, and go turnovers. Think about that. So he's got barely any turnovers for his quarterback. If his main running back is Roger Craig, he's got no fumbles, essentially. And I think Allen has a few fumbles here and there. But if he balances between a pretty solid Roger Craig card and passing with Randall Cunningham, he's never going to turn the ball over.
Yeah, you're right. So let's see, where else do we go with this team? So he got the Denver wide receivers. Now, in the 7th round, that late, I thought that was pretty good value. They have some decent pass catchers on that team, if I remember right.
I looked at that and I didn't like that pick because I thought it was, I didn't know they were I didn't think they were one of the top sets, but I could be totally wrong.
Well, let's look. Let me see. Trying to remember who was on there. Again, I'm getting these memories from playing in that playoff game and them kicking my butt. But Steve Watson is like one of those possession type receivers, but I guess this is one of his weaker cards. Vance Johnson hadn't had a great card yet.
Yeah, Mark Jackson will be his number 1 receiver.
Yeah, and look,
Yeah, it's
in
a lot of
short
blanks
pass,
here, man.
he's got no maxed out short pass, only 119, and he's got a 12 for his best deep one. Yeah, I didn't like that pick. I like how he constructed his team, but I didn't like his wide receiver pick there. I thought there were better ones. I think even St. Louis may have been available there. That was a great, unless I'm wrong.
No, I
Uh,
think you're right.
I would have taken
And
St. Louis there instead. That St. Louis has three
Yeah,
wide receivers that are really good.
they went the next pick.
then
So I
Seattle
would,
went 2 picks later.
Right.
I definitely would have taken St. Louis there.
Interesting, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if Randall can do it on his own. So, what do you guys think for a prediction for Mr. Owens?
Yeah, we just skipped over the Dallas DBs, but he's got a 0 at the right cornerback, which is always a big problem.
Yeah,
He
like I said,
wants,
he wants people to throw.
Yeah.
He wants to sack the quarterback, and if that
Yeah.
doesn't work out, he's in trouble. But if it does work out, he's golden.
I'm going to say 7 and 7.
You know what? I'm right there with you. I had it coming out of my mouth when you said it.
All right, I'll put you both down for 7 and 7. And Jason, don't hate me. I'm going to put you down because everybody can't be 7 and 7 or above, guys. We gotta ding some people here. So
I'm waiting
I'm
for
gonna.
you, Dennis.
I know my team, 1 and 13.
3 and 11.
I'm gonna say 5 and 9 for Jason Owens and the Loganville Red Devils, or whatever he calls his team. All right, so now we're on to Anthony, Tony, Pierscala.
Did he pick a tight end group?
I don't think he has yet.
Okay.
I haven't checked the form since we started this
There's
podcast.
there's still a couple good ones. Ozzie Newsome's still there. I mean, not great, but Ozzie Newsome, Metzelars. I was looking them over. And you know what? There's another one. I hate if somebody's watching this before the draft. Wait, is he the only one left?
Yeah, but he can take whoever he wants. Go ahead.
Doug
Man.
Cosby. I almost took Doug Cosby, except he didn't have a long pass because Doug Cosby's got 19 short pass right, and Timmy Newsome is a really, really good fullback, receiving fullback.
Yeah, neither of those Dallas tight ends can go deep, so that's one of the reasons I didn't even put them on my list of potential matches. I can't stand that when I can't go deep with my tight end.
I agree.
So let's see, where is that sheet? So, Mike, you have yours up. Where? Let me grab this real quick.
Cincinnati halfbacks, number 1.
Okay, so no, that's a great pick. I mean,
I love James Brooks.
my goodness, those cards.
Yeah.
And you get like fullbacks that are, halfback fullbacks in there. You have tons of carries. You have impact guys that can catch the pass, guys that can block. Just a dynamic group. And then his second round, he went New York Giants defensive line. So he went from the power, he went back and forth, offense and defense here for the first few picks. He had one offense, 2 defense, 3 offense, 4 defense. That's a good way to build a balanced team. So New York Giants defensive line. I'm trying to remember where's my prep sheet. They have high pass rush as well, right?
Let me see. I'm checking it out too. Hold on a second.
I think they're 6'4".
Yeah. So they've. Oh no, that's mostly for the run defense, and he's got 2 6s.
That
Was the.
The starting is 228 is the starting pass rush.
Right, so his pass rush is not great, but he's got one of the few 16 points of value for 3-4 run defense. So that just about guaranteed him a good pass D, a run D, I mean. So he did wind up with a good run D. We paired them with the New Orleans linebackers. There's where your pass rush is coming from. Those linebackers from New Orleans. I always have fun when I play their teams. They got that 6'12", 3 outside linebacker. This is the year they don't have any other big pass rushers, but they usually have like 2 or 3 guys that can rush the passer. But he's got one anchor there at the left linebacker, and then 4s across. Let's see. So he's got that. His secondary, the Giants secondary, he still wound up with average pass defense, but I think they were one of the last DB groups that had 18 left. So he grabbed them when he still had a chance of getting, as much points as possible. He's got 2 5s there and the rest 4s, no 0s, and a 4 XDB. So that'll help in 3-3-5 sets. And
Yeah,
then,
I really like that unit because of that. And when I was still kind of guessing that I may be able to pull a good pasty, there were a couple left, and that was one of them. And I possibly would have tried to grab them if they were still there coming up when I got Dickerson. Because of that four too, I thought that was great. That was a good pick there by Tony.
and then he grabbed those St. Louis wide receivers, which we all well, I didn't initially, but now I see the light that was a better pick than the pick that went right before them, the Broncos wide receivers. So the St. Louis guys have a maxed out short pass column, if I remember right.
Actually, and on that Jason pick, going back to that, sorry to interrupt, but you remember that was the pick where Jason was at a soccer tournament and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm that guy."
Oh yeah.
I think if he would have been in front of his computer, he would have made a different pick than Denver, but I could be wrong.
All right. So you got Roy Green, Hall of Famer, I think, or something like that. He's not maxed. Who is the big guy? Is it?
None of them are max, but they all have 19s.
TJ
Oh, okay.
Smith.
So this is more of a balanced one. So you actually do get three usable wide receivers, which is in this card set is. Oh yeah, JT Smith is maxed short, so he's got your max short
Oh,
card.
he is. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but no big long gains there.
But
Just he's an average.
This is one of those teams, I think, even though with that Brooks card, Craig, he's got low interceptions, but shocker, he's got high fumbles, and he's pretty much a flat pass quarterback. And like you said earlier, Dennis, that's going to be tough to win here. So you're going to be going between flat pass and James Brooks.
Right, but he's got that plus 15 on 7, which we all know from the guy on the forum that if you have a completion on 7, you're in good shape.
Sorry, that was great.
No, but if he can get people to guess wrong, I played coach this team. When you have Kurt Warner, you get a lot of wrong run calls, and then you can go deep with Craig. So you can't go deep with him when he's guessed right. When he's guessed wrong, you can. So it's just a matter of, he's got the kind of same situation because he's got the Cincinnati running backs, so he'll get more run calls than you might think, and he has that 8 long gain guessed wrong with hardly any picks. 8, 10 long gain, and a couple on the edges. Am I sharing my screen?
I don't
So
know, man.
Craig's card's better than you think.
I don't like it.
Okay. But he's got the one of the few running backs that's going to make you call run. So even if you're flatting, he's got big numbers there on the flats. He's got some big hits on the long. I think he's gonna do okay. I think he's gonna be a top half quarterback. Again, that's probably my Seattle blue and green colored glasses that is, making me think he's better than he is. But this was
a
actually
Seattle fan?
who knew? But this is definitely one of the better Dave Craig cards. He never had a flat pass card as good as this in his career, at least with Seattle. Usually he had like a very good deep card and something similar to this short, but his flats were usually blanks. So we'll see what it does.
What's his must run? I know he's got 8 units, but it's
I don't
nothing
think-
for
no.
carries, right?
Yeah, he's
See,
got
that-
4.
I have a real problem with 12 or below, or 12 below 12 flat short pass right quarterback cards. Huge
Right.
problem. I think in the end it's gonna end up screwing you down by the end zone, and on other third down plays, because you're right, you can hit those big long passes every once in a while, but I think that short pass card's gonna kill him.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Mike, anything left to say about Tony before we give a prediction?
No, yeah, Craig, the must runs he has is an average of 4.3 per run.
Yeah,
So,
that's
I mean,
not great.
that might help out a little
Help
bit.
a little bit.
Well, and before he comes on the forum and says, Dan, Jim Kelly's only got 12 short pass rights. The reason why I picked Kelly there, because he can go deep, and those 6 must runs give him 18 hits on short pass right, and Kelly's must run is 6.4, one of the best in the set. So just to protect myself from a blowback.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Craig's flat pass isn't as good as you'd think. When I did out the yardage, it's only 4.8 average. Right. So we'll have to see how that ends up.
Got it.
But
All right. So predictions for Tony. I guess it's my turn to go first. I'm going to say this is, again, I think it's a really I love teams like this. You guys have seen me win Battle Royale leagues when you have one of the top halfback sets with good pieces elsewhere. So I kind of like this team. I'm going to give it a 7-7. I'm going to give it a 7-7. I'm going to give my first 7-7. I think he's got a chance for the playoffs, but things have got to go right.
5-9.
Mike?
I know. I like the quarterback halfback combination, but yeah, I'm going to go 7-7.
All right. Okay. We're on to Mike's team. And I always say Dracut wrong. Drakut? No. How do you say the city that you're representing? Dracut. I got to think of that Drake, the old Canadian rap singer. So there you go, Drake.
Hey guys, I got to plug into a source. It's going to take me like 5 minutes, so take it over for a while.
Okay. So Mike, your first pick, you grabbed a unit that I did not think would be there, the Seattle Halfbacks. You must have been stoked when you saw them still on the board at pick 7.
I really wanted the Miami quarterback, but they didn't slip to 7.
No, that wasn't going to happen. But I didn't think Seattle would be there.
Yeah, I mean,
Cincinnati.
I was happy with Cincinnati or Seattle. I liked Seattle a little bit better because of the extra runs that Warner was going to have, probably 10 more runs. And
he's never has to leave the field. I mean, you can ride him. He's got 33 unfatigued carries, which is crazy. Or 30 unfatigued carries, 33, something like that. What is his unfatigued carries, Mike?
I don't know what it is. I forget.
I think it's 30, and then you can run him another four times.
More,
no problem.
right.
So then you got the Cleveland quarterbacks in round 2. So Bernie Kosar has one of those really low turnover cards, which is unusual for this set.
Yeah, I really like the Kosar card because of the low turnovers, and he's basically got a long gain on 7 on the pass.
Yeah, if you add up all those numbers, it's going to equal the same number you'd get if you had a long gain on 7, right?
Right, and the 16 short pass right, I can make those 3rd down and 10s when I need them.
And you're going to get a lot of run calls with Warner on the field.
Right. I'm not really thrilled with, I don't see a big differentiation between the right and wrong on the short pass.
Yeah, they're missing a number there, aren't they?
It looks like they are. I mean, we got the 16 on the must run and just the receiver, which everyone has anyway. So I was a little bit bummed about that, but I think when I get the run calls, I'm probably just going to have to go deep.
Yeah, go bomb it out and try to hit those big numbers. Now go ahead.
Again, that looks similar. Again, look, I got a receiver wrong. That's it. They give me the 12.
The 5 turns, or the 4 turns from a must run to a long gain. So that's.
Oh yeah, I already missed that one.
That's a big one.
Only 4 though. Not a huge.
Yeah.
Everybody
Right.
gets the receiver anyway.
But that's a nice looking quarterback card. You got the Houston wide receivers. Now, tell me about Houston there, because you picked them above. Was it above? It was after KC, but it was above St. Louis, Seattle, and Philadelphia.
Yeah, let me take a look. Drew Hill is my number 1 receiver.
He's got a sweet card. Look at that, maxed out with some long gains in there, and
Yeah.
a big long gain on 7 as well. I love receivers like that.
Yeah, and then Ernest Givens. He's not as good short, but he's got even a better long pass card.
Oh man, that's beautiful. Yeah,
So,
and you see a lot of blanks on flat, and like I said, in this rule set, the flats are not such a huge emphasis as it is in the modern game.
right,
So I'm not really worried about having a low flat on the receiver card.
right. Yeah, and wide receiver, I kind of waited a little bit longer. To be honest, I probably made a little bit of a mistake taking the St. Louis DBs 5th.
Okay.
I probably could have went wide receiver there. I was really in love with Cincinnati, but Butch snagged them in the 5th round.
Right.
That would have been my pick. I think in retrospect, this draft, the way everything fell out, because you don't know as it's happening. But I think the move there would have been the Cincinnati wide receivers, and then go back to DB later.
Right, and we all have picks like that where I just wish I would have done something differently, and that would have strengthened that one position of weakness. But even with that, I don't think that that was necessarily a weak position. You still wound up with good run defense, average pass defense. Now, the reason you got good run defense is because of grabbing the San Francisco D line with the third-round pick and the Raiders linebackers with your fourth-round pick. So talk about those back-to-back back-to-back-to-back defensive picks. I mean, I know you don't like the DBs in the fifth round, but what about the third and fourth rounds?
Yeah, I mean, after having Kozar and Warner, I thought I really had to go defense with the next two picks, and that's what I was thinking there. I'm a little bummed out that the Atlanta D actually lasted until the fourth round. They were pretty even with San Francisco as far as I was looking at it. I might have been able to wait around on that also, but I remember now we would be going up in the fourth round, so I actually picked before Joe.
Oh, that's right.
So I actually could have probably waited on that pick, but again, you're trying to figure out what's going to go. I really love having a six nose tackle too. It just shuts down anyone's running game when they try to run in between the tackles.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, trying to look at your tight end blocking back set now. The Bears in the eighth round, that had a lot of. I thought that was one of your better picks. You had Emery Moorhead there, who has like one of those hidden killer tight end cards. It's not a big number of hits, but man, that yardage is like nice. And then you got Matsui with that group, who can protect the quarterback, can catch the ball a little bit. So, what were you thinking at that pick? What were your other options?
Yeah, good value with that one. I forget who my other. Let me go to my list here. I think I had Cincinnati on there, New Orleans.
The Rams
maybe,
were after
maybe
that,
even the Rams. Yeah, that's what I was looking at for that. But I was just really looking for value at that point. Nothing great.
Yeah, I did a cartwheel when you made that pick. It's a great value. I like that pick because of Moorhead and like Dennis says about Suey. But like I said earlier, I had my eye on the second tight end for the Rams, in that Redden card, and I could see that there were a ton of blocking back tight end, spots getting ready to be picked. So when you picked that, I said, "Oh, thank God, Mike, thank you."
I know. I'm actually afraid of double team. I have a feeling I will be double teamed a ton in this league when pass is called. So I really wanted a tight end I could throw to. I didn't really need the running back cards, but you know what I did need? All my running backs were zero blockers. I need a blocker on 3rd and 10. I can't put Warner in there.
John L. Williams, man, right, Dennis?
Yeah, John L. Williams is a stud, but he's not gonna. He's not a halfback.
I'm kidding. He's a fullback.
It's a great card. He's not gonna get drafted unless Tony takes him. John L. Williams is not going to be participating, and that breaks my heart.
The tight ends are horrible. That's why.
I know, but please, Tony, John L. Williams deserves to be in this set. Take the Seattle tight end, fullback, halfback. See, he's a good runner. He's a very good runner. But Mike was trying to convince me to make the halfback, fullbacks tied together in this set because they are so, it's such a different kind of format. Instead of tying the tight ends with the fullbacks.
I did it anyway. I did it for you anyway, Dennis.
Sounds good.
Dan, I've been lobbying Dennis to put the halfbacks and fullbacks together. And
if you'd have put that out, I said yes based on looking at this set. Yeah, that's a great idea.
The problem is he didn't suggest it to me until we were like 2 rounds into the draft. But it was a good argument.
You wouldn't have given Tom 6 months to get ready for the. Oh wait, Tom's not in this one, so.
Right, I gave him 6 months this time, and he still didn't jump in. So, if you're listening, Tom, we're coming after you.
After I took Seattle in the first round, I go, oh great, I get John L. Williams to Dennis. He's like, oh no, you don't get him.
Sorry, bud.
We're so disappointed.
He's not in the group. So, but anyway, any other thoughts, Dan, on Mike's team before we throw out our predictions?
That Kosar Kurt Warner combination is just sick.
Yeah.
Kosar is easily the second quarterback in the set, and you could arguably be the first. I know some people may disagree with me, but because of Marino's turnovers, getting those two together is going to be a bear for any defense to stop. And the Houston wide receivers were a great pick, I thought, despite what Mike said. Now Denver O-line, I'm not overly familiar with them.
Oh yeah, actually, I got really, really lucky. It was the only
All
offensive
fives.
line left with 5 pass blockers.
All
that-
fives across. That's a really
what
nice.
about, what about run blocking?
50460 from right to left. 50460.
That I mean that with that running card you should be all set. But that can be if I could term a weakness in that offense, it would be the run blocking. But then again, with that pass blocking and the difficulty of guessing wrong, so often on defense with those two weapons, you're going to move the ball and you'll probably score more points than anybody in the league, I think.
Yeah, Mike, you were saying you needed help on offense. You got plenty of help in this set. You got, one of the top quarterbacks, the top halfback, and a nice core group surrounding him. So I like your chances.
I'm usually a quarterback rating killer, so we'll have to see.
That's the Strat game engine. That's not you, Mike. That's just the way it is. All right, so I see this team as one of the strongest teams out there. I'm going to give, again, this sounds funny because you guys are on the show with me, but I'm going to go with 11-3 for your team also, Mike. So you and Dan are tied in the clubhouse on my rankings. So what do you got, Dan? What do you think for Mike's team?
12-2.
Wow, okay, even more optimistic than the usual optimistic Dennis Crowley.
Jeez.
Mike, what are you going to say for your own team?
I feel like I have a lot of pressure right now. 10-4.
10-4. Fair enough. Any of those could happen. We know that in this game, one or two games will go against you that they have no chance to win, and then one or two games that you'll have no chance to lose, no matter what you do. But we'll see how it turns out. I definitely think you have one of the top teams. So on to Mick. We're at the halfway point, guys. Mick Balkan and his 8-mile Roadrunners, or Detroit, Michigan Panthers, or what did he call his team? I know I have it somewhere in here. But what do you guys think about Mick's team? Let's look at his order. So he picked, who did he pick first? So his first pick was the Dallas Halfbacks, right? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was way early.
Yeah. Herschel, this isn't one of Herschel Walker's best cards.
It's a good one, but
It's limited.
Mm-hmm.
It's limited, which is the killer. I played this card in SSR.
And it has a good Tony Dorsett card as well, right?
It's so weak.
No.
It's an average Tony Dorsett card,
It's weak.
and the Herschel card's chunky, but it's a great receiving card.
Oh yeah, 4.9 yards per carry. You got some hits. You got a short gain on 9 on end run and linebacker. But yeah, it is edge heavy. You hit that plus 84, you're golden. But other than that, you're moving the ball in 5 and 6 yard chunks. Supreme receiver card for a halfback. We all remember him running away from people and scoring touchdowns. So maybe this is more of a nostalgia pick for him, knowing that that he could get one of his favorite players as well. So we don't like that early round pick. Then he picked, after that he went to the defensive side and grabbed
San Fran.
the
DB.
San Fran DB, which is one of the, what did they have, 20 or 21, I think?
Yep.
Yeah, so his San Francisco had 20, so he was going for making sure he got the good pass D. So we got good on defense, because after that pick he went 2 more defensive picks, Denver defensive line and Miami linebackers. So he goes for his favorite group offensively, then goes back, shores up the defense, and then comes back to the offense. So what do you guys think about the balance of this team? It sure seems to be skewed towards the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a quarterback yet, does he?
He
picked
took
the Giants
Sims.
quarterback, so he's got Phil Simms.
Oh, that's an awful quarterback card.
We love you, Mick. But that's Dan that's talking. Remember when you played Dan in Honolulu?
Oh,
That's who.
No, I mean he was a victim of where he was a victim
11.
of where picking, but I mean.
Yeah, but he does have a long gain on 8, so you can bomb away and hit some rolls with that.
Jesus,
The
Dennis.
picks are high.
I love every time I listen to you do games, you're like, you got to throw long. Look at that long gain on 8.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that comes through more often than you. Just gotta think eights. Think eights. Come on. But those are important. I mean, maybe because we don't see them as frequently in the modern sets, it's nice when you do have one of those. You know, when you have a long 8-on-8 in the modern set, you have like a vintage Peyton Manning card, or you have a Drew Brees card, or an Aaron Rodgers card. There's not a lot of quarterbacks nowadays that have that long 8-on-8. It was more common in the 80s. But what worries you about this card besides the picks?
Oh, the
Picks.
Is that it?
And
I think
11,
I think
11
big fumble too.
Is he?
Let
See, I
me
didn't-
see. I have Sims. Yeah, big fumbles and big interceptions. Period. And he's got no. There's no. As far as I'm concerned, there's no above average column, flat, short, or long.
Yeah. But he can do some things with each of the columns. I mean, they're not total. It's not totally bad. I mean, when you're picking in the 9th round for your quarterback, you're not going to have a lot of quality choices.
You know, Dennis, I think I was looking at this draft, and I got to tell you, because you're so successful at all these leagues, I was looking at the quarterbacks going down to the 7th round, and I'm like, God damn it! I said, Sean, Jim, or Mick better pick Joe Montana and not let him fall to Dennis.
Well, Mike can tell you.
Lo and behold, Montana went to you.
Yeah, Mike can tell you. He wasn't even the guy I was going to pick. I swear to God, you're talking about the bombs. Mike, bring up Jay Schrader's card. I was going to pick Jay Schrader.
He was.
This guy has such a sweet bomb card. His flat is like non-existent. I've never seen a flat with so many blanks except like on a backup quarterback.
I didn't even rank him.
He's got the 28 on 8.
I didn't even rank him.
He's got the completion on 8. He's got long gain on 10. He's got long gain on 4. And look at those hits guessed wrong on the short pass. That's like an Alex Smith short pass card with like 3 or 4 extra yards on each one.
Yeah.
But
What's
I
that
just couldn't
must
bring
run?
myself
What's
to
his
do it.
must run?
I don't think he's any good. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing.
20. He's a Russell Wilson. Look at that 20 on 2.
Russell Wilson rookie card.
Yeah.
So that's who I almost picked. But Mick even said in his email, because he sent me the list with his quarterbacks, he says, I thought about going with the bomber and Schrader. I thought about going with the flat pass and Eric Hipple. He said, or I thought about going with Boomer, but he settled on a guy in between in Phil Sims. So I think I would have gone with Boomer over Sims.
I agree.
But we'll see how it turns out. So, is there anything you like about his team?
Jesus, come on, Dallas.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Dallas, San Diego. Well, he's got Kellen Winslow, good card.
He has a very good defense. I think that's going to help him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's one of the few guys with good defense right now.
Yep, absolutely right.
All right, well, let's cut to the chase. Let's go to the predictions for Mick. I'm gonna go 6 and 10.
Yeah.
Oh no,
5 and
6 and 8. Sorry, 6 and 8.
5 and 9.
5 and 9. Mike?
I don't know if I've ever played Mick.
Mick's a good coach. He knows how to use what he's given.
All right,
Yep.
I'll give him 6 and 8.
He won Spring Fever last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he knows what to do with the cards and his calls. So
Now, just like Dennis said here, I'm going with some sub 500s because not everybody can go 9 and 5. So you guys start pulling some sub 500 teams, so I don't look like the a-hole.
Yeah.
I've got more than you guys. I've got 1, 2, 3 sub 500s and 1 500, and I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 above 500. So I'm right there. I'm there with you. People can hate me too.
Dan,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're going to post them after, Dennis?
Yeah, I'll post. This will go up, and the prediction will go up as well.
Yeah, Dan, one thing we haven't mentioned to you, with Dennis picking a quarterback so late, I think him and I probably put about 3 hours into quarterback research for Dennis. And I thought I had him over the top that he was going to pick Jay Schrader because we ran the 86 SSRFL. The average yards per pass to lead the league, guess who led it?
Schrader, right?
Schrader over Moreno.
Yeah, but Yeah, it was like what 67 completions all year for 80 yards apiece.
No, he was his main starter. He did some
8.7.
things. He finished with 3,000 yards. He was number 10th in yardage. So
All right, Dennis. So go back to the forum now and say what I meant to do was.
no, I'm going to stick with Montana. I'm stick with Montana. You know, one of the
I thought that pick. By the way, we're going to get to your team, but I was really concerned about your team, Dennis, because of your offense.
It's
until
awful.
You got that Montana quarterback. I did not want you to get that card.
Yeah, we'll save that. We'll save that. But let's look
Your
at
team
Butch
was
now.
terrible. Your team was terrible in 2014 Battle Royal, and you still won.
Yeah, you won it anyway.
Yeah, it was one of my better efforts. I have been slipping on the lefting side, so let's see if I can step it up coaching wise again. So Butch, the mighty Wisconsin Badgers, Butch Stramick, starts his draft off with the Chicago Linebackers.
Huge pick. Good pick.
Very nice pick. And follow that up with the Denver DBs. So how did that happen? How did he get average pass defense when he picked the first two picks were linebacker and DB?
No,
No,
don't
he's
go.
got-
I'm
Oh,
updating.
you're not
good.
going by mine.
He's got good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's got
good.
good. 20 and a half. Yeah, you're right. Mike, you just grab it out of my sheet.
All right.
And then,
Let's grab it.
and then he snaked in the fourth round. He snaked Minnesota because if you look, I was perfectly willing, if it fell to me only, I was perfectly willing to play a 4-3 because with my linebackers, I could have gone 6-6-6, and I had 9 against the run and 9 against the pass with that linebacking crew. And Minnesota was the last team that could have got me a good. I could have ended up with good, I guess. For
Right.
Run and pass. Oh, actually, for good run, I was willing to go 4-3 is what I was going to say, but. So his defense, I love his defense. I'm a 4-3 traditionalist. It's a good line. In his offense, I mean that Kramer card again. That goes right there with the Kosar card to me. The or Eason card rather. I had
Right.
Kramer and Eason around the same time. Great quarterback card. The Miami running backs are underrated, and that was it Ernest Jackson fullback card running for Pittsburgh. That was a
Fantastic.
complete steal in the 8th round.
Oh, yeah,
Complete
definitely.
steal. And if you look, what he's got Cincinnati's receivers, they're stellar. The Winslow card's not one of the best, but it's a good one. Oh, not
I almost
Winslow.
picked-
Not Winslow. The San Diego offensive line. Sorry.
Yeah. But I almost picked Cincinnati wide receivers in the 4th round over who did I wind up picking for wide receiver?
Jets.
The Jets, yeah, because I got the kick return punt return. So I almost picked them, and he got them around later because I thought they're almost the same as the Jets as one of the top cards, and then they also have that returner which has a plus 94 on his kick return card, which is better than a long gain if you think about it because you're not subject to that 1 out of 6 conversion of the touchdown run. So I really like that Cincinnati pick, and his third wide receiver, which is that kick returner guy.
Yep.
Tim
Lots
McGee.
of yardage. Tim McGee, yeah, lots of yardage on that card.
Butch, I think Butch, and for me personally, jumping right into the end of this preseason, I got Butch and Mike playing in the Super Bowl.
Okay, mark that down.
Mike Stuckey, by the way.
Yeah, Suki. Sorry. That makes sense. I
I meant Mike Stuckey, not Mike Nemo. So,
Right. I got you.
So I'm going to jump right to the record, and I got an 11-3 here, with Mike at 12-2, and I got these two guys playing in the championship.
Sounds great. So 11-3 for Butch. Where's my sheet? There it is. Mike, what do you got for Butch?
10-4.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 11-3. No, I can't go 11-3. God, I do like that team. I'm gonna go 12-2. I'm gonna give him the boost, the presidential boost there, because I do that Kramer card. It seemed like every time I wanted to pick somebody, Butch would pick him right before me. That Kramer card is who I would have picked in the 3rd round, but he grabbed him. There's a couple other spots where he was grabbing just perfect spots for it to strengthen his team. So we'll see how it works out. But I think you're right. That Ernest Jackson card, man, if that guy would have been a halfback, I would have been all over that card. Because
Outstanding pick.
Yeah,
It was
it's
a great pick.
really nice. All right, let's go to Rick. Rick Byron started off his draft with Walter Payton and the Chicago Bears halfbacks as his number 1 overall pick. Let me look at that Peyton card. See, where did I have him? You see these names and you kind of assume like these guys are fantastic, but there are good Peyton Manning cards and bad Peyton Manning cards. There's good Walter Payton cards and bad Walter Payton cards. This is a pretty solid card, especially end run. That's fantastic.
Goodness gracious.
That rivals Kurt Warner's end run card.
So couple that guessed wrong end run with Dan Fouts' guessed wrong long pass.
Yes, and this is what Rick says. Rick says anybody who's played in Oops in the 80s knew he was going to pick Dan Fouts. That was his quarterback when they converted from cards and dice, or from well, I guess when they moved into the 80s, he had Fouts, I think, for his entire career, and he was known for bombing away with that Dan Fouts card over and over again. So it's going to be interesting to see how this winds up.
Yeah, but like one of his longtime opponents said, apparently he had a wall of sevens back with Fouts back then. Take a look at this offensive line pass blocking right now.
Let's see who did he wind up with? The Detroit Lions.
Detroit. Take a look.
Okay, so the Lions go 4-3, 6-4, 5-2, 5-2, 5-7. So he's got 2 2s and a 3 to try to protect Fouts. That's going to be tough. He's going to have to use Walter to garner some run calls, and people will call run with Peyton. Mm-hmm. That's a fantastic card. But yeah, you're right. He's going to have to time that. Time his passes very well, because people will be bringing free safety blitzes and bringing linebackers to try to put Fouts on his back.
I mean, third and long. I mean, Walter's got a great card, we all know you get caught in third and long quite a bit in any season. Anybody does.
Right.
And with those interceptions and that pass blocking line, and what's a flat pass on Fouts?
Oh, it's fantastic, but
it's on the screen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, the Fouts.
Great. It's outstanding. Yeah.
Yeah, this rule set is kind of tough to flat your way down the field.
It is,
especially when you have a pick on 10. So.
Yeah.
So he's going to do some damage a lot, but I think there are going to be times when he's going to struggle.
Long gain on 8.
There you go, Dennis.
I love it.
So does Jim Kelly.
But you got to remember too that, like I talked about earlier, a lot of times it's not necessarily the teams that wind up with the better records; it's the coaches.
Yeah, and he's a great coach.
Rick has consistently been a playoff team and made deep playoff runs. Yeah. So, what do you guys think for the Orange County Ramblers? Do you want to talk any more about his team first? After he went with Peyton, he got the Pittsburgh linebackers. You take a linebacker group in the top 2 rounds, you're pretty much solidifying your defense. And he's able to get good run defense because he followed that up in the 3rd round with the Washington defensive line. He hasn't picked his DB group yet, but he may have already done it by now. I haven't checked the forum. But he'll have average pass D, good run D. He's got Fouts, Walter Payton, a solid Kansas City wide receiver group with Carlos Carson and those guys.
They can go deep. They can go deep like nobody's business. I had them in '83.
That was another one.
Receivers.
Yeah, and he wiped out the Denver halfbacks by taking the Denver tight end fullback blocking back group in the 4th round, because every single one of those guys was like a halfback fullback. So you got Winder and blah blah blah, all those other guys.
And that's an underrated tight end in Mobley too.
Right. So this is a good team.
It's a good team.
So what do you guys think for Rick and the Ramblers?
9-5.
Yeah, 9-5.
Okay, sweep it. 9-5. I'll go with that. I think you guys are right. I do see Rick as a playoff team. I would be surprised if he misses the playoffs with this group. So.
Was Rick Orange County?
Yes.
Did he make the play? Yeah, he made the playoffs.
Oh yeah, he always makes the playoffs. I think he was in the Super Bowl 2 once. So.
He always makes the playoffs.
He does. It's like there's certain coaches that always make the playoffs. Paul, Dan, you make the playoffs. Mike, you make the playoffs. I make the playoffs. Rick makes the playoffs. So, now this is all going to change at some point. These guys are going to catch on. Joe Golden makes the playoffs consistently, but we'll see what happens. This is
Not
an interesting
everybody
card
can
set.
finish above 500, Dennis. Let's go. Come on.
All right, all right. Well, let's speaking of finishing below 500. Let's go on to Keith's team. Oh, no, just kidding. No, let's talk about Keith Mowbray and the squad he put together. What do we got
I'm
here?
so interested to see how this team.
Well, this is one that picked Elway first. Now, I like this pick. I like Elway. You guys didn't. Well, Dan didn't like it. Mike, what do you think about Elway in the first round?
Yeah, I thought it was a little early. I did like some guys better. I thought Elway would have been a good second round pick.
Yep.
But obviously he has a strategy. He went all offense, and he's just going to go with average defense and go with it. So I can't wait to see how this team does.
Yeah, because
that strategy.
So he went Denver quarterbacks first. So Elway protects them with the Miami offensive line, one of the better, probably the best pass blocking offensive line in the set. Then he goes the Miami wide receivers, which is I think the first wide receiver group off the board.
Yep.
And then he gets Clint Didier and a fantastic Washington tight end blocking back group, which also included some value there. I think one of the blocking backs or fullbacks in there was a very good runner as well, if I remember right.
George Rogers, good card.
George Rogers, yes. So he's got a great card. And then Tampa Bay halfbacks, which I didn't think the Tampa Bay halfbacks was a very good pick. I would have probably gone for, gosh.
Darren Nelson, Minnesota.
Or Pittsburgh, even Pittsburgh there.
Good one, great one.
And so you could have gotten the Pittsburgh halfbacks there. That would have made it almost the perfect top half of the draft, or top offensive team right there. But what's going to happen with that defense? So he's got to take the Indianapolis linebackers. That's the only way he can get average. So he's going to have St. Louis D-line, Indy linebackers, and Seattle DBs. And he's going to be average. Is that going to cause him problems? Is he going to be able to stop people with that defense?
What's that line? I know it's St. Louis, but what are the numbers?
The St. Louis defensive line has that's the guy who had the asterisk. He has an asterisk.
Al Baker, right?
End, yes.
Yeah, Al Baker.
He's got 5'4" defensive
guy.
end, 5'6" nose tackle, and 4'12" right end.
So 5'4", and he's got 4'6", okay. And then the linebackers, like you said, he has to take Indy.
Yes, he's got to take Indy, I think, because they're the only ones that give you
5'4", 0'6". Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, if you're going against a pass, and now his DBs are what now?
His DBs are the Seattle DBs. He's got a 0 right cornerback. They add up to 17. It goes 5 left cornerback, 4 strong safety, 5 free safety, and a 0 right cornerback.
You know what? He might have average, but he's got good
Pieces.
pass defense ratings.
And you should see what Keith is doing in Ed's league. He's taking teams that I would think would be non-playoff teams, and he's got them in good position. So he can coach them up a little bit.
Jesus, I was going to go sub 500 with this, but now that we just looked over his team with that, I thought the defense was going to kill him. But even though it's average, I like the ratings.
Yeah, I think the halfbacks, the fumble ratings on the Tampa Bay halfback has me worried.
Yeah, but he's got like 25, 30 carries with George Rogers.
Oh, so he's not even going to have to use that Tampa Bay halfback.
Did he get him because of receiving? Take a look at Tampa Bay. Do they have?
They have their main guy is a 6'5".
James Wilder.
Yes,
Yep.
James Wilder.
Well, so look at that. So he's got Wilder as a halfback blocking for George Rogers running.
That's pretty nice.
And that's a good pass block card too with Elway.
Right.
Wilder is excellent, right?
Yeah, so on third downs.
But he's high fumbles though, if I remember
Is
right.
he?
Yeah, but you might risk that on a 4th and goal, or you get to the end zone before you fumble. Who cares what your fumble number is?
Yeah.
Or even
So
on
this-
3rd and 4th and 1.
This is it's funny. I said Mike would be the highest scoring team in the league, and I think it'd be between him and Keith.
All right, predictions.
Jesus, I was going to go sub 500, and then we looked at his team. 8-6 though.
Okay.
I really like this team. I'm gonna go 10-4.
Wow, some big variety here.
I'm just trying to balance the wins and losses. I would probably go 9-5, but I don't want to have an imbalanced win-loss column here.
Okay, I'll go 9-5. I'll fill in. We'll fill in the gaps there. A QB doll to whoever gets the exact number of wins for the Keith Mowbray-led Virginia Wildcats or whatever his name. I don't remember these teams' names.
Alexandria, isn't it isn't
No,
Fear the Walking
that's
Dead?
no, that's Sean's team. He's the
Oh.
Alexandria Walkers.
It's a
Keith
great
usually has like a DC related name.
Keith's
So
in one of my leagues.
Washington Redskins or something like that. He'll call his team. So okay, so let's go on to those Alexandria Walkers. Good transition. Sean Riley is our next team. Now he hasn't. Let me look on the forum because
East Rock Ravens.
yeah, we need to know who his quarterback's going to be. I mean, we kind of know who he's going to be, but we don't know exactly who it's going to be.
I played him about 68 times in SFFRL this year, Dennis.
Yes.
He had like 3 or 4 teams. I had 2, so we played 100 times, I think.
Nice. Okay, so here's Sean's team is going to be the Cincinnati quarterback. So he's going with Boomer. So he's going Boomer there.
It's not the best boomer card in the world, let me tell you.
That's not bad though. I mean, again, he can go deep. A lot of these guys, you think, oh, they're not bad, but you can bomb them away, man.
Jesus,
Go for that 8.
Coryell Crowley.
I'm just hurting because I'm not going to be able to do that. I got Joe Montana, and he stinks, Steve. So.
How many guys are
Fumbles.
going to have 30
Boomer-
picks?
Boomer-
Okay, well, he doesn't have it on 8. He has it on 5.
Boomer fumbles a lot too, so.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I shied away from him. Gotta love these quarterbacks though. Short pass cards when it's 3rd and 13 after a sack or 3rd and 14, you can still hit it on their short pass card, which you can't do in the modern set. How's that must run, Mike? Pull that must run up.
It's not good.
Nah, that's not gonna help.
I love Boomer.
He's pretty much the last quarter. That's the last pick. That was his 10th round pick. So,
Oh, who do you take? Who do you take at wideout?
his wideout was. Let's go over here. So that's his 10th round pick, Mike. So update your sheet.
Oh,
Because he was the last one that needed a quarterback. Because you can fill in Detroit and Eric Hipple for Jim's team. My thing's going slow here, so.
I want to see how that works. The flat pass Hipple card.
He picked the Minnesota wide receivers.
okay.
So that
Ahmad Rashad, or did he retire already?
I don't think he's in the set. Let me look. Minnesota, 3rd wide receiver. He has Hassan Jones, Leo Lewis,
Anthony Carter.
and Anthony Carter. Yeah, so there is no Ahmad Rashad. He was on.
Carter's the only good one in that set, I think.
This is the That's Incredible days for Ahmad Rashad.
Yeah.
He's not playing football anymore. He's doing that TV show.
19.
Yeah, he's got Carter's got a nice card. Hassan Jones has some big yardage numbers, but a
Leo
lot of
Lewis.
blanks.
Leo Lewis isn't bad.
No, it's actually a decent group. I mean, comparatively.
What does he have? What is his defense going to look like? Good, average, good, what?
Good.
Yeah, he's good.
This is the opposite of Keith's strategy.
So he went all defense.
He's going to have a good D like I had in 2014 Battle Royale, but I think his offense is going to struggle worse than mine in 2014.
Yeah, when you pick your quarterback last, you pick your wide receivers
Those
last
running
or
backs,
second to last.
those running backs are good wrong, but if you catch them guess right, you'll crush them.
No, that Visika Hema card, man. I was looking at that. If you're looking for a low fumble card to run out the clock, that's a nice card.
Yeah, I liked Stump and Bicycle Hema. I had them on my big board down a ways. But I think he picked 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he picked this running back set before Dickerson, believe it or not.
Wow,
Oh my God.
that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 4 was coming up, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
I could not believe it when he did that. I mean, and I like that set. I would have probably taken him in the 5th, 6th round, but I don't like this offense at all. The defense is good, and Sean, God honest truth, Sean's one of my, because I played him so much in SFFRL, he's one of my favorite online coaches. Good guy. But I gotta go 5-9, man.
Okay. 5-9 for the Alexandra Walker. So they're like zombified for you.
Yeah.
All right, Mike.
6 and 8.
6 and 8.
Now I want you to, and Dennis, I want you to add all these things up so it shows that you and Mike have, like 142 wins and 84 losses, at the end.
Well, you didn't let me make my pick here. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 4 and 10 for the Walkers. So there you go.
All right, good man.
Now we're getting some
No
under
offense,
500.
Sean.
Yeah, Sean.
Right.
The math made me do it. It's all Dan's fault.
Yeah.
So, all right, I do think he has a shot though. If he can keep the turnovers low, the turnovers are going to kill him on the Esiason's card. That's the biggest problem. So
Every team I said is going to go sub 500 is going to beat me. Mark it down.
sounds good. Okay, Jim, let's go to the Southern California Sun. Thank you, Jim, for always naming your team the same, and it's easy for me to remember. Oh, Keith's team, by the way, is the East Rockingham something or others. I remember.
I think I found out where the Southern California Sun came from. Is that a WFL team or something, or what?
Yeah, Jim actually had season tickets for the Southern California Sun, and he has fond memories of them. So he was hoping that they would be around long term, but the big bad NFL crushed them.
One of my favorite things about these strat leagues that I've been joining lately, I absolutely love the fact that there's a family that plays in these. Uncle, father, son. I think that's outstanding.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. The Rileys have 4 coaches that play. Doug's not in this league, but he's Jim, Sean, and Larry. Larry's recently come back. And then Doug plays in some of the Oops leagues, and then they also have another younger brother, Matt. But I don't. He doesn't really play online anymore. If he ever did, but he used to play the board game. And then the Baylors up in Seattle area or Washington State, Nathan Baylor, his dad Trent played, and he had a couple. I think he had another brother that would play cards and dice, but hasn't played online. So there's a couple families out there that are strat families, and that's kind of cool. So let's talk about Jim's team. He went with the KC D-line first. So he kind of did similar to what Sean did, except in a little bit different order. He goes heavy defense early, takes a D-line, DB, comes back with a linebacker group after grabbing a halfback group. So he also has good defense. He's playing a 3-4 instead of a 4-3. And as you'd expect when you go heavy defense, his offense may be where he winds up running into problems. Would you guys agree with that? What's his offensive line? Because that's blank now, right? Yeah, I'm going to go back and look at it. He would have picked it by now. I'm sorry, guys, for holding up the draft as we're doing this podcast. Let's see. He posted it 48 minutes ago. So his offensive line is. Hold on. I guess he didn't post it yet. He can post it, but he hasn't posted it yet. Maybe he's crunching the numbers right now. So he only picked his quarterback in round 9. He's can pick his offensive line in round 10 whenever he wants, since none of us need it. So, actually, let me share my screen. I'll show you the offensive lines that are left, and you guys can make your best guess on who he's going to pick, because there's not too many choices. He's got. Did Cleveland get picked? I guess I didn't say my sheet. I think Cleveland did get picked.
Sean grabbed Cleveland, I think.
So Cleveland's gone, and Denver's gone, right?
Yep.
So Detroit, is Detroit gone?
Yep.
So he's left, I think, with the New York Jets. Oh, yeah. Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota went 2, right?
Yep.
Okay. Detroit went 2. Yeah, so he's got the Jets as the top group on my board.
What are we looking at for a run block on that?
0, 5, 4, 4, 5. Jesus. And his pass blocking would be 3, 5, 4, 3, 5.
Well,
if he goes that route.
He's gonna flat he's got Hipple, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna flat his brains out, and the thing I'm concerned about is, although he's got that Riggs card, he's got not a lot of run blocking, and there are a lot of good run defenses.
Yeah. So he's going to have trouble moving the ball at times. He did pick the Atlanta halfbacks with a third-round pick. Now, what do you guys think about that group? Because I thought that there was one of the guys in there, I think it's Stamps, that has like a super high fumble number.
Yeah, he is. He has good guess wrong columns. He has super high. I would have probably gone with although that Christensen Hawkins fullback tight end combo is really, really good.
Got it. So he's got he gets William. No, he doesn't get William. He gets
Andrews.
Cliff
I almost
Austin,
picked him.
Gerald Riggs. So did he pick up halfbacks in another group? Is that what we're looking at?
Oh yeah, he got Atlanta. He got Riggs for halfback, and he got Hawkins for fullback. So and Stamps. So he's got good running, but not good run blocking. There are a lot of good run defenses, and his receivers, I think, are, below middle as far as rankings are concerned.
Right.
The Dallas receivers. So I think just like Sean, he's gonna struggle on offense.
Right. I agree with that. I'm gonna go another below 500 prediction here, unless you guys wanted to go on more about the team.
Well, Morton Anderson, if he's gonna try ball control, flat and run, and play good defense, that Morton Anderson card is gonna come up huge.
Nice. That's true. He was the first kicker off the board. The first kicker.
If he can do a Jersey Joe Mike Stuckey 12-10 game and win with 5 field goals, he's going to do okay.
All right. Numbers, people. What do you think?
5 and 9.
I think he did great to get the Raiders tight end. That Christensen card is awesome. Great value there in the 6th round.
Oh, and Hawkins too. Doesn't he get one of their fullbacks?
Dan decent. Brought up Hawkins, right?
Christensen's gonna get doubled, 500 times a year.
You're probably right. 6 and 8.
6 and 8. All right, I will go 5 and 9.
Yeah, and if you look at those Dallas cards, I know we're getting late, but what's the Dallas long pass? See, if you double Christensen a ton, then he's looking at Mike Sherrard is his only top-notch deep player, and if that's covered by that's a flanker thing I was telling you about. He's covered by 5s and 6s. He's going to have trouble going deep to Sherrard, especially with Hipple, who can't go deep.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, well, let's go on to my team, and just let me say up front, I totally screwed up my last pick. I should have picked the Minnesota halfbacks. I would have loved my team. I loved everything about it, but I screwed it up, and was Sunday with the family doing my thing, and I popped that pick in there. But I thought, there's no way that Paul's going to pick him because he's going to wind up with so few carries. But the other halfbacks in there that were left, Green Bay, who got picked by Joe, and some of the other ones had even fewer carries from their primary guy.
He already had Ruben Mays. Paul did.
Right, and I didn't do the work. I didn't sit down and look at that stuff before I made my pick, and I just went with I think I picked Montana then. I could have waited and got Montana afterwards since he already had a quarterback. But I was really between those 3 positions: the defensive line, Cleveland defensive line, San Francisco quarterback, and the Minnesota halfback. Now, if I didn't pick the Cleveland defensive line, who cares? I would have gotten the Pittsburgh defensive line. That was my mistake, and Dan benefited from it because he could wait till the 10th round to pick his D-line. Paul benefited from it because he hammered me with that Darren Nelson pick. So I'm going to have to take Buffalo as my halfbacks here, as Mike's pointing out. He's already filling it in his spreadsheet. And they have tons of fumbles on their card. Riddick is horrible. But Greg Bell's okay. But instead of having 20 lower fumble carries from Darren Nelson, I'm going to have only 13 or 14 carries from Greg Bell.
Dennis, why didn't you go with Freeman McNeil? Because when I thought you would go Darren Nelson, when you were coming down,
I haven't picked yet. Freeman McNeil was the other one I was talking about with Mike, but his fumble is super high too. Like here, let me share my screen.
Is it higher than Riddick's?
No, it's not higher than Riddick's, but I get 14 much lower here. Let me pull up my sheet here. Where is it?
Because I don't mind Freeman McNeil's card. It's good. Guess right. I mean,
but you're going to cough the ball up a ton. Here's the where's the ratings at? So here's what I'm looking at right now. Some of my running backs. I haven't made the choice yet, but you got Greg Bell, who is 17. The numbers here are guessed right, guessed wrong. So he's 1732 with 13 carries. He's from the rating sheet. Right. Freeman McNeil has a better card, but he's 3774. I would have two of my running backs because I also have Alfred Anderson. I would have both of them would be 3674 or 3774. So that means a 3.7% chance of a fumble guessed right and 7.4% chance of a fumble guessed wrong. That is what I'm worried about if I take McNeil, because McNeil has 22 carries. That's who I was going to pick, but his damn fumble number's so high. Talk me into Freeman McNeil.
What about, did somebody already, oh yeah, somebody already grabbed Miami's halfback,
right? So Miami's gone, Pittsburgh's gone, Green Bay's gone. The other option would be like San Francisco, who has Wendell Tyler and Joe Cribbs, but then they're both 32-65 fumble numbers. Rob Riddick is the guy that's the complement to Greg Bell, and he's 53-105. So if I take Buffalo, I'll have 13 semi-low fumble carries from Bell, and 12 really low fumble carries from Ted Brown. I wish there was a Ted Brown-like clone on the halfback side, but all these other halfback guys like John L. Williams, if he was only a fullback halfback, well, he would have been gone already. But I need a card like that. I need somebody like that as my second back, but I'm not going to get it.
What about Cribbs? I see Cribbs as having way lower fumble ratings than Riddick.
3.29%. You're looking at his carded fumbles. His carded fumbles are not his individual fumble numbers. If you
the individual fumbles for Cribbs are 3.29, and the Riddick is 5.33.
He went to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm going to go with the 3-point-something, I'd go with Freeman McNeil, 3.74.
Yeah, exactly. What about and who am I looking at right now? I know we're doing draft review for Dennis here, so sorry everybody. But who else did I just see? I just saw somebody that looked a little. He doesn't have a good line, but he has a good off tackle. Damn it, who the hell was that?
Okay, so let's
James. Gary James.
Gary James. That's what I told. He's right here. That's what I told Mike. I says Gary James. I get 17 lower fumble numbers, but there's nobody else in that set. The other guys in that set have crazy high fumble numbers. I'm talking like 16 or 17. Let's see.
Who's your Minnesota fullback? How many carries that you would ride?
12. I get 12 from Ted Brown.
You get 29 carries?
That's doable. Alvin Moore has a 10.53 fumble number, and that's like 200 guessed, keyed, 100 guessed right, 150 guessed wrong, or reverse those. So, and then James Jones would be in there, but he's gone because he got. Oh no, James Jones, I guess. No, he's a fullback. Sorry, the other halfback is
Curtis Dickey. Is he
Herman
gone?
Hunter? Herman Hunter has a 33% fumble chance.
Curtis Dickey?
Curtis, you're thinking of the Indianapolis guy?
Yeah. No, Cleveland.
That's Albert Bentley.
Cleveland, Curtis Dickey.
No, Dickey's got a 2.96 fumble number, and not much juice happening.
Wow, that is slim pickings. Holy cow.
Yeah, so that's where I got screwed. No, Dickey's actually okay around the end. I'll look at his fumble numbers. I don't think I've calculated
his
that.
Off tackle's not great, but it's doable too.
Right, the end runs where you make your money, but his guest right stuff is terrible. Yeah. So I might suck it up and go with the fumbles with Freeman McNeil, or go with the safer guy in Gary James, or go with Greg Bell, Greg Bell is better than Gary James, but he has 4 fewer carries. So is it worth giving up those 4 carries to get lower fumble numbers when I could also get, in desperation times, Rob Riddick, he can do some things around the end. And he can catch deep passes too. Well, so can Freeman. So anyway, but looking at my draft, besides that, I love the way it was shaping up early. If I only would have picked Darren Nelson, but because I missed out on that, I'm going to be number one, hard time getting people to call run. Number two, my quarterback is so bad, guessed right, long, that I'm not going to be able to bomb as much as I'd like. But I like all my other pieces. I got good receivers. Good tight end, fullback, solid offensive line. And the defense is going to be good, except for, I'm average against the run instead of good, but I got that 6 nose tackle.
And you got, don't underestimate, besides getting that 6 with Darrell Green, that's a pretty darn good punt return card. And like I said, I'm still convinced special teams are going to be big in this league.
Yeah, and people are going to be facing 6-6-5-6 or 6-6-5-5 in my secondary. So I got 6-6-5-6. So that'll help.
Those receiver hits, one of the things I noticed in draft cards is for some weird reason there are more receiver hits on a good 3-men in zone short pass than average 3-men in zone short pass. So there are a good number of, our only saving grace against your pass defense is going to be receiver hits with 3-men in zone.
Yes, there's quite a few receiver hits. But I'm going to have to decide if I want to go put 4-men in zone or blitz like crazy. So I'll have some pass rush too to put some pressure on people.
Yep, you're right. That's one of the best pass rush. You and I emailed each other. Cleveland is one of the best third long pass rush sets in the lines in the set.
So I like my team. I don't love it. I think I'm gonna lose some games because of turnovers, and that's gonna drive me nuts. This is like one of those teams where you said, I tried something different this time. This is going to be a different feel for me with a heavy defensive team and holes on offense. I usually like to have that halfback that forces people to call run, and then everything works off of that. My offensive, I'm able to run, and get people to call pass, go deep, hit some receiver readings, but I'm not going to be able to do that this time. My offense is very one-dimensional.
You're gonna absolutely blow me out when we play because of this, but and you know what? I gotta go with some berries on this call here because of that offense. 7-7.
7-7. Okay, let's do it. Mike, what do you think? Is this gonna be my first non-playoff team? I almost missed the playoffs. In the last Battle Royale. So is this gonna be the first one I miss?
No. 9-5.
9-5.
Oh, Mike, come on, buddy.
He's never missed the playoffs.
I know. You know what, though? Like my dad is 87 years old, and I watched sports with him since I've been 5, and his number one saying is, "They're due."
That's right. I am too.
Whenever I go, Dad, what do you mean you're picking against them? They've won 11 games in a row. My dad goes, "They're due," and they lose. So.
Well, let me share my screen. So I put myself down as.
I was going to go 8-6, Dennis, so don't kick my butt too bad.
All right, I went 8-6. All right, let's talk about our last team, Paul. Half man, half manquit. Where's my other sheet? Okay, so he started his draft with the New England DBs, and then he went. You guys talk about it. I got to take a quick call. My wife's calling. I'll be right back.
What do you think, Mike?
I'm trying to see what his last couple picks were. I guess
I didn't keep track of his last couple picks were supposed to be, what the hell was it? He needed linebackers and he needed, I think, receivers.
Yeah.
And that's not a good time to get receivers and probably not a good time to get linebackers. And he's playing a 4-3 too, so like Dennis said, depending on those linebacker ratings, on short yardage situations against good run teams, that could be a problem, and that happens quite a bit. But Paul's an outstanding coach, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, he's going to try to put pressure. That's why he took the 4-3. He loves that. They got 9, 8, 9, 12 star 3.
9, 8, 7, 12. Yeah, he's got 4, 4, 5, 5. So you can probably run against one side. So it'll be important for him to get a linebacker set that has. And I stopped crossing them off. So
6.
What you got? He's going to have to get a 6 on that left side. And I think the Chargers, if you grabbed it, well, no, that would put a 0 on one side. They'll never do that. Falcons, they still available?
Yep.
Well, then, if you look at the Falcons, he can go 5-5-4.
Oh, yeah.
That could be it right there. So if you give him 5-5-4, that's a 7 with his line. Oh, no, you do. Yeah, you do half. So 5, that's a 7. Does that give him good?
He can take Indy 5-4-6.
Did he take Indy already?
I don't know. That's the move. 5-4-6.
I think somebody else needs linebackers too, so it'll be key as to who.
Yeah, Keith.
So 5-4-6. So if you look at that, 4-4-5-5 line, 5-4-6, you can run up the middle on that. But
He'll be plugging.
yeah, he can plug that, and then your middle linebackers are 4. You have to bring your free safety up. You can go deep. I mean, it'll be interesting. But it's Paul. So then you look at what Jets kicker, punter, New England DBs. That was a good one, first round.
Yeah, they're good.
New Orleans offensive line. I think when I looked at that, I didn't think I had them in mind during the whole draft, and then I remember going New Orleans, and I looked, and I think it's a pretty good line.
Yeah.
Bavaro. I mean, I wanted that card so bad, it just didn't fit into the flow.
I know.
Oh, I wanted Dickinson and Bavaro and Kelly. That's what I wanted. And then I was going to go Kansas City wide receivers and basically kill you to death switching between Bavaro and Dickerson and then go deep to those Kansas City receivers, but it got all screwed up.
I know. I wanted that tight end group. I couldn't believe it lasted till the 5th round. I just wasn't in a good location to take it.
Yeah, and you had me going after I heard you and Dennis talking to Zeke Mowat. After I looked at Zeke, I was like, no shit, that's the great. And then the Reuben Mays 4th round kick return, punt return to snag your halfbacks was a great move. That's a great card. Goodness gracious. I don't think it's a good receiving card though, but it's a good run card.
Yeah, I know. I really regret taking the St. Louis DBs 5. I could have taken the Giants right there.
I think you're right.
I really needed the pass blocking too.
Yeah, he's got a Danny White. That Danny White card, I think, is. I liked it, but there was something I didn't like about it. Let me look. I have him as total chances. He's in the 3rd tier. Total guess right chances. That's how I do it. Flat pass, stellar flat pass, below average to below average short, and I don't even have him ranked long. So it's another flat pass based offense throwing is what I think. But that again, that Bavaro card, if you play it right with Reuben Mays and Bavaro and wide receiver, did he pick yet?
I don't think so.
So he's scraping the barrel with receivers. I'm sure there's a set out there that has one good receiver. You know what we failed to mention on Keith, by the way? If I remember right, yeah, Keith. Look at that. He's got Miami's wide receivers, but he got Billy Brooks with his return game.
Right.
With a maxed out long pass.
Wow.
His 3rd wide receiver is going to be a maxed out long pass.
Yeah. Billy Brooks went to my high school.
Oh, no shit. I loved him when I watched him. So, yeah, Paul, yeah. I don't like, I mean, Danny White, it's a doable card. And Bavaro's flat pass is just insane. Line. Let me look at that line again. Let me see. New Orleans. Saints. Holy shit, that's up there. 4-4-5-5-6 run. 5-5-4-7-5 pass block. Great. 6 rounds? Jesus. That's a nice get in the 6th.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to do something with this team. But 4-3, I mean, you got good pass rush. You can run against the 4-3 with the right line. I don't know. New England's DBs are good. Man, he's got a good team. I got to go, just because it's Paul, I got to go 10-4.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll be around there. I've had good luck against him lately, but I know it's going to. But he's a good coach.
I think I've played him maybe 2 or 3 times, and I think I'm either 1-2, 2-1, or 1-1. I think, but he's. It's one of those things where I've kind of just been in with this group of coaches for about 2-3 years now, and you know his reputation. It's one of those things where I was ready to play him because people talk so highly of him. You know what I mean?
Right.
instead of going in on somebody you don't know that's good, and then he wipes the floor with you, and you say, "Holy shit!" But yeah, so
Yeah.
I got 10-4.
Yeah, he got great value with that Giants. I mean, look, the Jets went before him. Minnesota tight ends went before him. I mean, you look at some of these. I know why Dennis took Minnesota, but you look at like that's was the number one tight end group. Guys just passing on him.
I would have had Dickerson not been available in the fourth round. I probably would have snaked Bavaro there, and the 49ers stayed with the 49ers in the fifth round. So I would have had Jim Kelly with Bavaro at tight end and Dwight Clark and Jerry Rice as receivers.
Yeah, that's
And,
crazy. What an
and
offense.
yeah, so like you said, Dickerson was just staring me in the face. I had to do it. But I would have snagged Bavaro then, and he never would have got him.
Right.
So I
I'm
don't
trying
know.
to see.
So I think I have you, Butch. I think I did 10-4 with somebody else too. I think I have Paul 10-4, Butch 11-3, you 12-2. Who did I go? I think I picked myself 10-4. That's what it was. Which will come back to kill me, I'm sure. I'll be like 7-7 and miss the playoffs by one. I have Aaron Rodgers and Jeremy Hill in one of Ed's leagues, and I'm 6-6 going in the last quarter. I'm possibly going to miss the playoffs with arguably the greatest quarterback card of all time.
Yeah, who? Well, the guy with Rogers. I don't think he made the. Did he make the playoffs?
What, in Battle Royale?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know with that defense I had, I think I stymied Brady,
Yeah, Ann Arbor.
Rodgers, Manning, and Brady. I think I held all three of them to under 200 yards.
Oh yeah, I played him in the playoffs.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, 12 for 35.
Yeah.
4
Yeah,
picks.
this card set, it's a lot harder, with these rules to throw the ball. You get good pass D with some good ratings. You can just sit back and let them throw.
Yeah, that's what Dennis said to me. He said he thinks it's going to be really hard to score in this 86 league.
Yep, I think so, and that's why I'm convinced. Again, I've said it 5 times, and the special teams, the kickoff and punt return coverage.
Hey, you guys still going? Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
we looked at Paul's team, and we thought it was good, well balanced. I had him at 10-4. I think. Would you pick him, Mike?
10-4.
Yeah, because we're looking at Danny White. It's basically a flat pass card with low INTs, with Nelson and Mays, good running. Bavaro's card is outrageous. Great value with the Saints offensive line in the 6th round.
yeah.
Good pass rush with Dallas's line. And we were thinking he's got to go Indianapolis linebacker unit, or there was one I saw that was 5.54 that he could go with too.
If he takes Indy linebacker units before Keith has selected his linebacker units, that means Keith might wind up with a poor on one of his units, I think.
So hopefully Keith doesn't watch this and say, "Hey, thanks guys."
No, I think Paul would have already made his picks by now because we're
Yeah.
already through round 10. So I have to go look and catch up the sheet. But I especially like Darren Nelson and that Ruben Mays, or his Saints guy, right?
Yeah,
Is that
Ruben Mays.
Yeah,
That was a
that's
rookie of the year in '86.
wow. So that's a really nice combo. I don't like flat pass quarterbacks in this set, even though I have one. But Danny White's the best of the flat pass quarterbacks, and Mike did really well with him in our replay. His defense is going to wind up being what? Good, or good average, or average?
I have a possible average, but a good pass. Was the way I'm looking at it. Yeah, I think he's going to get an average run.
Okay, average good is that you can deal with that, I think. Okay, I'll also go. No, I hate to just follow the crowd. I'll go 9-5. So that winds up our predictions. Now, Dan already gave us his Super Bowl teams, although I didn't write it down. So tell me what it is, so I can put it in.
Mike and Butch. Do I have to pick a winner?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Butch. Sorry, Mike.
It's okay.
So Butch.
And partially that's also partially it's a toss up, but it's partially because I don't want to be a preseason broadcast homer.
Got it. And Mike, who's your Super Bowl pick?
I'm going to go Dan and Dennis.
I barely made the playoffs. You can't give me that.
Last time this happened, I didn't even make the playoffs, so thanks.
Okay. And what's your prediction?
And this time, Dennis is going to finish second.
So Dan's going to be the winner.
I'll let Dennis tell you what happened last time he and I played in the Super Bowl.
I saw it on the website.
That was a stock
Snarl.
though.
Oh,
Yeah,
Snarl 2 years ago.
The Patriots fell to the Seahawks.
I got absolutely destroyed.
You got diced, is what you got. that happens. That happens. So
I'll try and bring the trophy back to New England if that happens there, Mike.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Interception at the goal line last play.
I was watching your game against Joe Golden. I was sick to my stomach.
Oh yeah, me too. I think I threw up again yesterday.
All right, so my Super Bowl prediction, I'm gonna go. I will go Paul in there, and he will play.
Pick a 6 different team, Dennis. Go for it, man.
I think he's going to play Rick. So we're going to get another Paul versus Rick. And we'll say Paul over Rick. That's my
I didn't
old
have Rick
school.
making the playoffs, did I? No.
Yeah, he always does, though. He
Yeah, he
always
does.
does. No, you did. You had him. You had him. We all had him at 9-5.
Okay. Sorry, Rick.
So
Don't
you
kill me.
jinxed him. Okay, so that's great. I think that we can wrap it up here, guys. I think we've already gone on for like 3 hours.
It was a short one.
Yeah, exactly. Any last-minute thoughts on the league, on the format, on your team? What about regrets? You already heard my lament on Darren Nelson and how I screwed myself. Any picks that you'd rather you do over, Dan?
Oh, Jesus, I'm looking at it. I was just telling you when you were gone. I was telling Mike that I wanted Bavaro in the 4th round coming back up, really, really bad, because I wanted Bavaro, Rice, and Clark, and I thought I could have done that, and I thought I could have got a good running back later.
Yeah, you could have got the Pittsburgh guy.
I could have got Walter Abercrombie, and I think I would have been doing cartwheels with that team. It would have been hard to call run with Jim Kelly, Mark Bavaro, Clark, and Rice. So that's my regret.
Yeah, and my regret is not getting a running back. Mike, we kind of went over yours already. Yours was the defensive backs going a little too early. Is that right?
Yeah, then Dan and we were just looking at it, and another one was I took the St. Louis defense just because I wanted the 6-4-4. 6-4-4-4. And if I passed on that, which I could have, I could have passed on it. I didn't have to get it. I could have got the New York Giants tight ends.
Oh, nice.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Bernie Kosar, Kurt Warner, Bavaro, and the Houston wide receivers?
Wow. Big time. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna go get caught up on the stuff, and put out a updated spreadsheet, and we'll just be on to our 10th rounders tonight. So I'm gonna shut this down. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'm looking forward to another season. And we'll see what if any of the 3 members of this podcasting team actually wind up in the playoffs and it may be in the championship game. So
I'm gonna go tell my wife I did a 3-hour podcast with Tom Brady. I'm pretty pumped.
you never thought you'd spend that much time with Mr. Handsome. So, all right, Mike, any last minute words?
Nope. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah,
Hey,
good
thanks,
luck.
guys.
Thanks. I'm going to shut it down so everybody stay on for a second.
All right.
We'll see you guys.